inside a boat where we they sink. I say them get ice, but them know they see. Them get heart, but them know they feel. Some do they get mind, but them know they think. Everyone we all day inside a boat where we the sink.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as ColorLink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior. Syntax tank, are you strong? Are you tough?
Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.
I wanted to say good morning, but it's certainly not a good morning. And I'm not talking about the failure of the Black Stars. We had just too much hopes for a team that had been struggling. But 34 citizens are gone. The floods swept them away. Much of the floods avoidable. And this is 11 years after June 3. That catastrophe. We are still counting bodies. We are still writing obituaries for these avoidable deaths. But I'm sad because this morning, as I drove into this studio, right here at Alajo, I see heaps of rubbish. Yes, what we choked the gutters with, that the floods spot up, are still sitting. Huge mountain heaps still sitting around in front of shops, on the edges of the road, in front of people's homes. And that tells me the monumental failure on the part of leadership. We will break it all down this morning. We're examining the devastation and also scrutinizing the institutional failure that has resulted in these deaths and the havoc that the floods continue to cause. We shall find some small time to deal with the question whether or not the Supreme Court has served justice to Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Torkornoo, the former Chief Justice, who was removed and whose challenge has been dismissed. 2 suits consolidated in the Supreme Court have all been dismissed in a similar fashion, like the 7 human rights issues that she raised in the ECOWAS courts, dismissed last week. I'm Samson Ladia Nyenini. We'll be right back to deal with the vexed matters.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Do you want a healthy smile?
Are you a senior looking to maintain your oral health? Hi, I'm Tanya from Bethel Dental Clinic, Ghana. As we age, our dental needs change, making regular dental care even more important. Geriatric dental care is tailored specifically for older adults, typically age 65 and above. Aging can bring oral health challenges like dry mouth, gum recession, and increased risk of cavities and gum disease. Regular dental checkups are essential to detect issues early, while preventative measures like fluoride treatments and professional cleanings help maintain oral health. Schedule your appointment today to learn more about dental age-related dental changes and how to keep your smile healthy for years to come, because your smile deserves the best care no matter your age.
Welcome to Sulas Enterprise, the shop that deals in industrial machinery such as generators, rice millers, water pumps, compressors, and mowers. From the smallest to the largest capacity, at Sulas Enterprise, we give you nothing but the best from the best brands such as Honda and Perkins. When it comes to our generators, we also sell mowers coming from brands like Honda, Briggs and Straton, and Oleoma. And when it comes to our water pumps, we offer you brands like Lily, Prudin, and Pedrolo water pumps. We also sell rice millers for all capacities. We are located at Spintex Kakalika Plaza. Also, find our various locations as displayed on screen, or call us on the following number: 0243-839-463 or 0554-154-416 or 0240-541-493.
Sulas Enterprise, where quality meets affordability.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It's been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Welcome to a place where everyday living is reimagined, where space, movement, and community come together effortlessly. With thoughtfully designed spaces, modern facilities, and everything you need within reach, you don't just live here, you feel safe, comfortable, and at ease. Step inside Eden Heights and discover spaces crafted for comfort, style, and everyday living. And just when it feels right, you will know. Because this isn't just about finding a house, it's about stepping into a better way of living. Eden Heights, the height of modern living. Book a private viewing today.
Welcome back. And here is Samson's take, a very brief take on the back of a take I wrote the morning after the floods. You can look for it. It's titled Blood on Your Hands, about failed leadership. But this morning, I titled my take 34 Dead, Trash Choked, and Leadership on Holiday. Hello, partisan robots. Disconnect now. If your brain is hardwired to defend a political color while fellow citizens drown and rot in the capital, this is not for you. It is Saturday morning. The skies have cleared, but the grim reality has only just surfaced. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has now confirmed that the nationwide death toll from Monday's devastating floods has risen to 34 human souls, with 12 confirmed dead right here in Accra. And the state admits that the number will likely rise as missing bodies are matched and verified. 34 citizens are gone. 11 years after the June 3 catastrophe, we are still counting bodies. We are still writing obituaries for avoidable deaths. But look around you this morning. Look at the streets of Accra. The water has receded, but it has left behind a sickening monument to our governance failure. massive rotten heaps of rubbish sitting right in the middle of our city. The floods aggressively spat back the refuse we choked our drains with. And days later, our municipal authorities cannot even coordinate a swift cleanup. The capital of Ghana is a trash-choked graveyard. Don't let any politician grandstand on television today with fake empathy or talk about needing new laws. The Criminal and Other Offences Act explicitly criminalizes this littering and clogging. The Land Use and Spatial Planning Act and Local and Governance Act give our local authorities absolute power to clear obstructions, demolish lawless structures they allowed to be put on waterways, and jail offenders. But as we know, the laws are alive on paper. Leadership is dead in practice. Instead of proactive engineering, continuous dredging, and ruthless enforcement, we get reactive media stunts during the downpour and absolute silence when it clears. If you have seen the Garrett transactions report, it proves that hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis have been moving through the system for flood mitigation, drainage, and municipal sanitation management. Yet, the plastic mountains remain on our pavements this very morning, and the storm drains remain choked to the throat. To every president, minister, MMDCE who has enjoyed the perks of power over the last decade or more, look at the mountain trash and the rising body count today. Every avoidable death, every ruined livelihood, every disease that breeds in these uncollected heaps is on you. We don't need your prayers. We don't need your post-disaster warehouse distributions. We need you to enforce the law. Until you find the political backbone to do your jobs, know this truth. You have blood on your hands, trash at your feet, and history will not wash it off. And that is my take. I'll be right back with my guest.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
me didn't tum. Mr. Friend, Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Friend, me once now.
Hey, is that you? Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action.
Maybe this Sasso spray. Mr. Friend is Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso.
tum preko.
Having gone to Translight Solar, really, it's been one wonderful experience. Since the system was installed in my house, my daytime could be somewhere around 20 cedis. And so I've seen a marked reduction in my bills. And because of that, I am not paying as much as I used to do when I was relying solely on the national grid. My house has now become the city on the hill. With this current doomsaw, anytime my area is off, my house is well lit. Everything is on point. And I can get as much as 13 to 14 hours with my ACs and everything working perfectly well. So I can say, as for Translight, they are the truth, the way, and the light. You have to speak to Translight today. In fact, speak to them now, right now.
Translight Solar. Translight Solar.
Discover Willow Lane in Torkornoo, one of Ghana's most prime community. These expertly designed 4-bedroom homes feature a private elevator, 4 ensuite bedrooms, private balconies, walk-in closets, and a gourmet kitchen and a maid's quarters. Perfect for families, executives, investors, and retirees. Our community offers a swimming pool, playground, and 3-tier security for your peace of mind. Experience the ultimate in comfort, convenience, and community here at Willow Lane, Torkornoo. Visit waylead.org or call 0240-111119 or 0308-040500 to book your tour today. Waylead, your trusted home builder.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. A guest in the studio. And this is a Newsfile special dedicated to reviewing matters arising as far as the floods and what it has left in its wake is concerned. Accra underwater. So we are examining the devastation. We are confronting the institutional failure and the painful lack of lessons since June 3, 2015. And then later we'll make some little time to look at the fact that all Justice Torkornoo removal related cases at the Supreme Court have been dismissed. Unanimously thrown out, dismissed. We'll find out if that is justice served. I guess Engineer Michael Obing Konedu, he is chairman of Civil Technical Division, Ghana Institution of Engineering. Maxwell Emmanuel Niba is Director, Department of Man-Made Disaster, NADMO. Ed Andrews, Operational Governance and Risk Management Expert. Bernard Makafui Agbalengo is with the Geographic Information Systems and Informatics Officer for Garrett under the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources. Susan Eduamankwa is Executive Secretary, National Interest Movement. And two politicians, die-hard politicians, join us. Dennis Miracle Sabuaji, Director of Communications, Dr. Baumia, and Inus Afuseni, former MP Tamale Central and former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. He was also Minister for Roads as well. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Newsfile.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Right. Those of you joining us, guests joining us via Zoom, good morning to you all as also. We will now begin our discussion, but I have in my hand this document. It is the report of the Ministerial Committee that investigated the fire outbreak at the Goyle Filling Station, Kwame Nkrumah Circle, on 3rd June 2015. And just reading a small part of the observations by the committee at the time to you. Among other things, they noted what appears to be a curious finding. Yeah, it's a curious finding, but we cannot, substitute it because that was the finding. They did find that, unfortunately, there were 154 people who lost their lives in that flood and fire disaster in 2015. Coincidentally, they also found that 154, same number of persons, suffered various degrees of injury as a result of the flooding and fire disaster. Let me just read to you. They say that 154 persons lost their lives as a result of the floods and the fire. Out of this number, 28 have not been identified as at 9 July 2015. Injury: 154 persons sustained various degrees of burns and other injuries, and some of them were successfully treated and discharged. A few badly burnt persons are still on admission in various hospitals. Then they spoke about loss of property running into hundreds of thousands of Ghana cedis. They looked at a number of property that had been destroyed. Then they said that the state should provide helicopters. Yeah, provide helicopters equipped with firefighting equipment to be manned by the Ghana Air Force in collaboration with the Ghana National Fire Service and NADMO. I'll find out if NADMO has some helicopters that they are managing for such situations, because they got to a place, and we have seen in the videos where a young man was blackmailing them into giving him money before he would help them to pull out a dead body. For combating aerial fires, including offshore firefighting and rescue. We should review the national building regulations to compel builders of high-rise buildings to make adequate provisions for fire safety and so on and so forth. Then they said, we note with dismay that buildings located in inappropriate areas, such as waterways and reservations for utilities, have approved permits. Yeah. Buildings sitting in places that they should not have approved permits. We recommend punitive sanctions against public officers who approve and grant such permits. And then they said a few other things. Here we are. What has happened over the period? So, gentlemen, when you woke up on Monday, let me, start with you, Bernard. When you woke up on Monday morning, is it the news of the flood disaster that woke you up, or you woke up to a normal morning wanting to go about your business?
Okay, first of all, let me say a good morning to your lovely listeners and viewers. I woke up a as usual, getting ready to leave for the office. Because of the nature of my work, I normally carry my drone around. Once I see the clouds gathering, to capture some shots to see what really is happening on the ground. But I didn't anticipate the volume of rain that was going to come in that morning.
So somewhat, you were surprised.
Very surprised.
You shouldn't be caught surprised. You are carrying your drone around, trying to capture and measure what is going to happen.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you see on this day?
Okay, so my surprise stems from the fact that after the rainfalls, the numbers we are receiving is quite alarming. If you have anything above 150 millimeters of rainfall, and with the challenges that exist on ground, one is you get frightened because you can picture in your mind what to expect. Now, on ground, we have a lot of work to do. Let me just put it that way. Once I get into the details, you realize the quantum of challenges we have on ground that need to be solved. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you say? Did you go to sleep thinking this was possible, especially because the couple of days before that, it did look like, and then actually the night before, it's almost drizzled with some more than drizzle throughout the night.
Well, good morning to you and good morning to all your listeners. I don't live within the center of Accra, so to speak. I live on the periphery. I live in Afienya. To at dawn, I realized that it was raining actually, and it kept raining unusually long. And these days, most of the time, I work from home, but when I checked out the way it was continuously raining, I knew that something was off. Then I started getting the phone calls. My children are in Tema. I call them, they say it's raining. I call people in Accra, they say it's raining. So I know that something is off. And it kept raining for a long time. Then I started monitoring the news and I realized that we are in trouble. So that was how it started for me that day.
And what did you see?
I didn't come to town. So what I saw were videos. People started sending me videos, horrific videos.
Right.
The water levels, the extent of coverage, and of course, the trash.
Right.
So those were the images of that day for me.
Now that NADMO has confirmed that across the country, we're told that there's 7 regions that were a bit impacted. Of course, Accra suffered the most. That 34 human souls have been lost. Accra accounts for 12 of that number. And there is actually the potential that we will discover more. What's running through your mind when you hear that?
Like I said from the beginning, if you have the chance to look at the challenges from a bird's eye view, you realize that it's scary. It's scary. We should expect very, let's say, challenging moments if we do not take strict actions now. When you look at the numbers, you look at the kind of mess we have out there, I'll not be surprised if some of the bodies are not even found. Because if you have a structure system on a water body and you have put in a PVC pipe to carry the water away and someone is trapped there, you are not going to see the person. So it's one of fear if no action is taken. Yes.
Yusuf Seni.
Yes, sir.
My brother, were you on your farm on this day? Because up north appeared to have been a bit dry.
Yes, so I was in Accra. I was at Kwabenya. I live on the mountains. That morning, I normally get up at 4 o'clock to exercise.
Right.
So I exercise in the rain. The drizzle coming, stopping, coming. Yeah, I didn't see water. I was beaten mercilessly by the rain. Came home, took my bath, went to watch TV, and I saw the deluge. I saw that the whole of Accra was inundated with water, flood waters. I went on to social media, and I saw cars, buildings, ramshackle structures being carried. I saw human beings being rescued by the civil authorities, NADMO, the army, the police. And I said, well, what has happened? Then I went, I started monitoring the media, and it came through that the waters that came down on the 30th of June appears to be out of the normal. And so it goes with, it counts within the definitional context of flash floods, part of the climate change conditions. And so no matter the level of preparation, people will be caught because of the downpour. And so and I've seen floods before. I mean, I have lived in Alaju, I have lived in the Beka, but this one, the way it came. And that's why we must do a serious interrogation of what we have to do as a people.
This morning, if you go through Alaju, the heaps of rubbish, they're sitting there. They're sitting pocket mountains everywhere. See what is happening. We are talking about now.
Yeah.
Almost a week into the developments. This is what we are still seeing. Susan Eduamankwa, thank you very much for making time to join us. Tell us where you were and what your experience was.
Good morning. You're looking very nice this morning. I like your voice.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, where was I? I was in the office, actually. I usually leave home early because I live in Sakumona and work in Legon, and I don't like the traffic. So I leave home pretty early, and then I'm able to go for Mass at Divine Mercy. So it was, fortunately, Sakumona roads don't flood so much. So even though the rains had been very heavy around 3, 4 around Sakumona, the roads were relatively well drained. So I was able to get into East Legon, and then during Mass, it started pouring. So, when it was over, I couldn't immediately leave for work. And so when I attempted to leave for work, then East Legon, supposed to be a first-class area, was so flooded. The road in front, usually I use the road just parallel to the McDan Road. And before I could get there, it was flooded. And I was like, wow, and so I couldn't use that road. I had to turn back and go around, and then use the one in front of a Kanka, and then that was relatively safe than the two that are parallel, the Magdan and the one in between that. So I used that only to get to Oponglo and the craziness at the traffic light. And this is part of the thing. The traffic lights were working, and yet people were disregarding the traffic lights, and the policemen there were just helpless. And this is sad that, we behave so badly in times like this, because the traffic lights were working. And so we could easily have all moved, safely, but we decided to disregard them. And there was such a mess in the middle there, you can imagine. So anyway, I just continued up and used the Legon main gate to get to the office, only to get to the Gucci, and it's virtually empty. And I could understand that, because in my building, most of the people in my building either live in Kaswa or live in Ajin Kotoku and far off. So, I just called one or two of them. They said, we are stuck. I mean, my lady coming from Kaswa was like, I've been out of the house since 4 o'clock and I'm still just stuck. I'm nowhere near Noguchi. I was like, you know what, if you can turn back, then it's cool, you know. And so Noguchi was virtually empty. And we were there when the university sent a memo that, okay, if people were already in the office, they should stay safe, they should stay there. And those who hadn't yet come to work, they should just stay at home.
Right.
You know, so in my whole building, there was just the two of us who came to work on that Monday, and it was the same all throughout. I'm sure we barely got 50 people coming to work that day because of the heavy rains.
You are not too far away from UPSA, and we saw footages from UPSA where the water had come even close to window levels. Cars had been submerged or almost, buried.
Horrible. Luckily, Legon was spared a lot of that. But we did have some trees falling, which is usual. That does happen. But these
Legon is supposed to be on the hill.
Yes, so we were spared that. And I think that we also have relatively good drainage issues,
Right.
So we were spared that. But East Legon, I mean, it was so bad. And you look at it and say, so it rains and people can't come to work.
All right, we'll be showing some of the pictures as you spoke about East Legon. Terrible. Chado. Terrible. Right. We have Andrew on the line. You are not in Ghana, you are in London, but how did the news get to you?
So, thank you, Samson. So, Samson, first of all, I'm Ed. Andrews is my surname. So,
all right.
So let me make that correction. So, in fact, so 3 things here. There wasn't shock per se. There was horror and pain when news started flooding through social media. So I had a busy day. Then you start going through your WhatsApp and you start seeing all of these images. It gives you pain. And it was horrifying to find Ghana in that state. And for that matter, the volume of solid waste and filth. I think that was horrendous. But with respect to the rainfall and the flooding itself, even what I do on a day-to-day basis, it didn't come as a surprise to me. It wasn't shocking. It was just a failure of controls. That was amazing to me. So looking at them, I was horrified. But
we'll keep tabs on that. Failure on controls. That's what you said. We will keep tabs on that and return to that, Ed. Thank you very much. Crisp way you begin the show. You begin on. Yeah, so from where you said, what should we be saying to the families as we watch the footages again this morning? As you said, very traumatic, horrendous, and so on. What should we be saying to these families, most of whom don't know where they're sleeping, don't know where their next meal is coming? Many people have suffered, and there are people who live by the day. They must work each day to be able to feed.
So generally what we say is our thoughts and prayers are with these families. That is what we say. As to whether we mean it and we act on them is a different thing. So to these families, I know it's difficult. I know it's tough. Some of you wouldn't have, for your lifetime, imagined that something like that would happen, and it has happened. But there is hope through these conversations, through honest assessment of the issue, and through a political will and determination to resolve this. I think the future could be better for Ghana.
See that fire and the floodwaters is being scooped to quench the fire. And you're asking yourself, is this Stone Age or what? Susan, what will you say to these families? They've lost breadwinners. Kids have been lost. Homes have been completely lost. There's this one house, you hear the lady cry, and she simply cannot even cry as she tries. You know, the entire house is now in sand, up to the window level, sand and refuse that push itself into the house.
I mean, it's pathetic, and my heart just goes out to them, and you know, and we just play in this country. I mean, we are all complicit. I mean, it's so sad because we definitely do not have any love for each other, and we pretend we do, and these things happen, and it's heartbreaking. Because a lot of these things we could have prevented. We are not the only country that experiences flash floods, you know, and it's just heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking that we get to this point. Yes, you know, disasters happen, and that's why we prepare for them. That's why we do the right things. That's why we, you know, it's not when it has happened, then we start putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. You know, all these lives that were lost. And I tell you, these are not the only lives that will be lost. These are how would I put it? The acute phase, you know, that we've seen these lives. But going on, because we are in a public health crisis.
Yeah.
This is just a public health crisis.
Yeah.
And so more lives will be lost that we will put to malaria, we will put to cholera, we will put to typhoid. Yet it is because of these flash floods, you know. Okay. And, you know, so the numbers are not just those numbers that you see now in this acute phase, but that will come subsequently due to these floods. The floods is just the beginning.
Yeah, the Ghana Medical Association, I think the Health Ministry also have all issued statements warning what is coming up as far as cholera is concerned and so on.
The Pharmaceutical Society also.
Right, Pharmaceutical Society. We'll return to that with you, and you say we are all complicit. I'll return to you later on that and disagree with you that we are all complicit. I'm not complicit. I believe that those I pay to work and to check these situations have a job to do, and they are the ones who have failed me. If people are, you know, littering and throwing their rubbish into the gutters and so on and so forth, it is all because those who must ensure that they don't have gone to sleep. Yes. So, gentlemen, what are we saying to the families? We want to do that briefly before we zoom into, you know, the hard issues.
Well, like Ed said, our thoughts and prayers are with them. It's pathetic. It's rather unfortunate. We hope that we don't come back to this situation again.
You lost 154. 54, that was even those you could count. 11 years ago, you said never again. And today you believe that counting 34, saying never again has any meaning. You had 154 others, and I know the numbers. The numbers are far more than what were recorded, who were injured. I see them, okay? Some of them, their kids cannot look at them in the face, regardless of how long it has taken. Completely disfigured. They can't do anything anymore. They are bent from head to toe. We said never again. And today you are saying never again. You are hoping?
Let's never lose hope. And we must always mean it when we say it. But then the question is, what do we do to ensure that it never happens again?
All right. What do we do to ensure that it never happens again? I'm marking that on you and to return to that with you. And on that basis, I will be referring to the Justice Dossier Committee report 11 years ago and the very basic things they recommended, which I would sit in my room, armchair, and produce without the need to do any investigations. I can tell that these are the things we need, but it's not happening. Right. Bernard.
Something. What can we say to them but say, sorry, their country failed them. However, all those who played a role or a part in their country failing them must be brought to book and then punished for the blood they have on their hands.
They wake up this morning and the mountains of dump heaps of rubbish is still sitting in their house, in front of their homes, and on tarred roads and everywhere, their shops. It's been a week.
Yes. So, like government said, it's the approach is a coordinated one. I've seen in videos where some assemblies have tried to clear their areas, but if we do not do it holistically, a portion will be cleared, it rains again, then it pushes the areas that have not been cleared back to where we've cleared.
The clearing you are talking about.
Yes.
We are very familiar with how it is done.
Yeah.
They got their shovels, they get together, what we used to say, and recently is being revived on a Saturday, or is it first Saturday or something of the month, clean up. They do the work and you drive past, you see every rubbish they've brought is sitting just by the drain. It doesn't get taken away. It rains and everything is washed back into it. So what's wrong with us?
So that's why I'm explaining that it has to be coordinated. Now, if, for example, I clean my drain, I don't have the means to carry it away, I would leave it there for the people who have the means to carry it away, come in to carry. So if it's not coordinated and want to do things, I'm silos, I'm cleaning my own, you are cleaning your own, we will not, at this point, we should not be talking about cleanup. We should be talking about removal of all the blockages in the way of the water body. Otherwise, we'll be back to square one again.
Mr. Hussaini.
Thompson, death, even in natural settings, painful. When death comes as a result of our own inability to prevent same, it's devastating. So I can understand if Ghanaians are drawn into the vortex of despair because of what has happened. Because all of us know that when the rains come, they could inundate areas. And when they do, they will cause devastating destructions. And that's what we have seen. Indeed, it's proper for us to extend our deepest condolences to the people who have lost loved ones. I mean, to whom much is given, much is expected. The people put their trust in the state. The state, even though from June 3rd, or even before June 3rd, has been doing things to try to mitigate the effects of floods on Accra and other areas. It appears to me that more has to be done. More structural and non-structural mitigation strategies have to be deployed to try to reduce the impact of flooding on the people who live in Accra and other areas that are flood prone. So my condolences. My condolences.
So on your screen, 1995, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, see the taxi that's being pushed
the box
in the water. That's 1995.
Yes.
Jerry Rawlings. Is that Tutubi Kwache? You see them. So the picture I have, because I've moderated this every year, it's failure, 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 because we know and can avoid. But Honorable Minister of Saying, as we do this, I think we can spend just a minute or so to also, especially because of where you sit, Bashiru Ishak, a 40-year-old Ghanaian tailor, we are told was shot dead in Cape Town, South Africa, during anti-immigrant protest on June 30. And as we are told, they are going to continue this demonstration. They did a massive one. They're going to continue it every Thursday, is it? And thanks to Ghana, we took our citizens out of the place, a good number of them, but some still remain. Other African countries have all warned their citizens not to open their shops, you know. So how are they going to survive? They don't go out to open their shops. How are they going to survive? Yes, what will you say?
It's really disturbing.
We're waking up this morning to news that the originally scheduled thing they said they would do every Thursday, they are actually seeking to do it, you know, short intervals without notice.
Yeah,
and so on.
That is even disturbing. I think it's a failure of leadership, failure of state in South Africa. Because we don't want to go back into history. South Africans were everywhere. When they needed refuge, the African countries gave them refuge. In fact, Ghana even gave them passports. They couldn't take passports from their own country. Ghana gave them passports. But I think leadership is failing. You know why leadership is failing? Because the reasonable and legitimate expectation of the people of South Africa are not being met. So the South Africans want somebody to blame. And it's comfortable, it's acceptable for leadership to allow their people to go onto the street and vent their anger on foreigners who constitute less than 10% for the people of South Africa. Now they're looking for jobs. The South African government has not been able to provide the jobs for the people. So what better way than to let the people vent their anger on others who are not even doing government jobs, but providing services to the people in makeshift shops. So I think that the South African government must rise up. Yes, people who immigrate to South Africa who are undocumented are not legally entitled to be in that country. But it is a civilized way of getting them out of the country.
That's right.
So, yes, we are not even in Ghana. If you come into Ghana, we give you 3, and you are from Africa or West Africa, we give you 3 months. After 3 months, if you are still in Ghana, you are an undocumented illegal immigrant. But we won't unleash our people on our fellow Africans to take the powers of the state into their own hands. And to my brothers and sisters in South Africa, you went to hustle. You went looking for daily bread. This must not be at the expense of your lives. So many years ago, Italians were those who were working in America. They went back to their country and built the country. So many years ago, Turkey was providing the labor for Europe. They went back and built their country. Come back and let's build our country. The experiences that you have gained in South Africa and other places, let's deploy those experiences to build our country so that people can also come to our country to seek greener pastures.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. And on the back of that too, I was watching, is it the Pulse? The country is doing a good job. We go wherever our citizens are distressed and we bring rescue to them. We get protection for them. We have heard the minister say we're going to bring, Ishak's remains and so on and so forth. Our citizens who are still locked up, there should be opportunity for them not to get killed by this, rampaging mob on the street of South Africa. We are showing that anywhere in the world where a Ghanaian is in trouble, we will go to their rescue. I was watching the Pulse and I saw Jonah Capital, Nigeria, the St. John's, company there, which has the River Park Estate in Abuja, where you have the FCT minister, Nyesom Wiki, and they are storming at the place, breaking down 100, hectares of estates and breaking the gates to it and seizing a Ghanaian property the way they are doing. Samukujeto Blacko was there earlier. The president was also petitioned about that. I think they also deserve some attention. So President Mahama, you are formally petitioned about that. Let's make sure there's no unlawful seizure of Ghanaian property. We are not there. They are not there begging. They are there working and helping the community, not the claims we are hearing in South Africa. So let's help as their security is compromised. I see some of the footages. It's really bad. Now, I'll take a quick break. When I return, we'll hear the Minister for the Interior and a couple others who had to speak, and then we'll hear President John Mahama as well.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, are strong, and tough.
Na se afi 1924 enye afi bia keke na mumu abrabo ahyase. Na se abrabo enye bibi kesi bia na mumu niema nketewa a efete se edwuma edikan akukuduro a yedisi ginaye na woni obi etu anamon abomu na se bombo emma wo ahoto te se chini a ekura yen wa abra nsuo kesi bi ato empofui mu na se bibie mu no wedwuma sam ekoswe na se apomuden edi enidaso ba na akomabubu nso ewo hye fofore na se ahumjie eye emre abasobode afa hodie ene enijie ewo mue na se wabrabo mu nsem egina wo fie ene wedwuma sem ho nso na se ye di odo ebata ne ayahwere ho a yenkredie ebeye fe.
Enterprise, your advantage.
So this strategy will lead.
Oh no, not again.
Sir, relax. The generator will come on now.
The generator is not working.
Why stress yourself when the experts are just one tap away? Introducing Left Power, the smart emergency support app from Left Signature Limited. With Left Power, certified engineers respond fast, anytime, anywhere. No delays, no stories.
Hello, sir. This is Left Signature Limited. The request has been received and our engineers are already on their way. Please relax. We've got you covered.
This is professional. Every left expert is certified, verified, and can be tracked in real time. Oh, you'll know they're coming before they even arrive. From electrical engineering and solar power systems to data center management, cloud services, smart automation, and software development, Left Signature delivers excellence, fast, reliable, and professional. Left Power.
Your solution is just one tap away.
Available on Play Store and App Store.
Day by Day existing lotion, cream, soap, and more. Day by Day has 4 fragrance range.
Malaria's remedy is Lonat. Therefore, we're gonna use Lonat to recover. You have malaria? Yes, are you shivering? Yes, yes. You got chills? Yes, take Lonat. First day, take Lonat. Second day, take Lonat. Third day, take Lonat. That's all. Lonat scatter malaria. Lonat scatter malaria.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome to Sulas Enterprise, the shop that deals in industrial machinery such as generators, rice millers, water pumps, compressors, and mowers. From the smallest to the largest capacity, at Sulas Enterprise, we give you nothing but the best from the best brands such as Honda and Perkins. When it comes to our generators, we also sell mowers coming from brands like Honda, Briggs and Straton, and Oleoma. And when it comes to our water pumps, we offer you brands like Lily, Prudin, and Pedrolo water pumps. We also sell rice millers for all capacities. We are located at Spintex Kakalika Plaza. Also, find our various locations as displayed on screen, or call us on the following numbers: 0243-839-463 or 0554-154-416 or 0240-541-493.
Sulas Enterprise, where quality meets affordability.
We have a total of 7,761 households that were displaced, with 38,802 individuals affected, with 7 persons still missing as of this morning. Because, Mr. Speaker, I've been at the Finance Committee in the past 3 hours. I've not been able to read my briefs this afternoon. I don't know whether many more have been found, but 7 people as of this morning were displaced, and the total death are 12 individuals that we lost. A total amount of 350 million is being targeted to be used to help in dealing with the challenges that we have. Mr. Speaker, the President has instructed that 200 million will be targeting relief items to this close to over 10,000 households that have been affected across the whole coast. And the 150 will be used to mitigate the flood issues within this, the coastal areas. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to extend our condolences and that of government and the people of Ghana to the families that lost their family members, and we assure them we are with them in this difficult moment. We know many people could not be in their homes and even sleep in their homes, but government is doing whatever it can.
Yesterday's flooding is the clearest evidence that this task force produced no meaningful intervention on the ground. if serious drainage works, the silting or flood mitigation infrastructure had been undertaken, the impact of the rains, however heavy, would have been measurably reduced. Instead, entire neighborhoods went underwater, exposing the gap between government rhetoric and government delivery. The minority is calling on this House to establish a parliamentary committee specifically mandated to investigate the conduct of the Flood Preparedness Task Force and the relevant government ministries and agencies in the lead up to this disaster. That inquiry must establish what work, if any, the task force undertook since its establishment, what funds were allocated to it, and how they were spent, what specific mitigation measures were planned and implemented, and why none of this prevented or meaningfully reduced the impact of foreseeable seasonal flooding. Stagnant flood water mixed with uncollected refuse and overflowing sanitation facilities create conditions for the rapid spread of communicable diseases, including cholera, typhoid, and other waterborne and vector-borne illnesses. The minority is therefore pressing for an urgent and substantive briefing to this House by the Minister for Health, setting out precisely what steps are being taken to monitor affected communities for early signs of disease outbreak. This briefing must happen without delay. The country cannot afford a public health crisis compounding a disaster that was itself avoidable.
What is worrying for me is that the forecasts are forecasts of even more rain to come. And if this is going to be more rain, I believe that the government could also consider even declaring a state of emergency so that we deal with this in that particular format, that a state of emergency is declared, because this is a real big problem for this country, and we have to put all our energies, all our talents, all the engineers, all the hydrologists, we have to bring everybody together, regardless of party, because this is for Ghana. And let us do it for Ghana. Let us come together for Ghana and solve this problem for our country. And so that is where I want to ask everybody, let's do this together and let's provide relief, immediate relief to the people who are affected. People need food, people don't have clothes, people don't have mattresses. Let us make sure that we come immediately to their aid.
We just finished an aerial tour of Accra to inspect the flooded areas. Unfortunately, the flooding has been very extensive today for several reasons. One, the recorded rainfall today is one of the highest in several years. The Meteo are looking at approximately 140 millimeters that was dumped on Accra. Last year, the maximum rainfall was 56 on a single day. And so the volumes are much higher. And so there are many issues to the flooding in Accra. There's climate. If you look at the rainfall pattern from 2024, 2025, 2026, you see that increasingly every year we're getting more rain in Accra than we used to get. GMETs say that in 2024, for a period of 30 days in June, we had 85 millimeters of rain. And then in 2025, it increased to 172. And then in 2026, for the same 30-day period in June, it increased to 333. And so the waterways are not getting a chance to recover before more rain is dumped. And the wet days are more. Out of 30 days, 22 days, it kept raining. And so there were only 7 dry days or 8 dry days in June. And so that's the climate side. That is an act of God that we can't control. But then there's also the engineering and the man-made causes. That is, like I said before, Accra is built between 2 natural bodies, the Kwapim Mountain Range and the Atlantic Ocean. And before Accra was built, the streams used to flow through this plain to reach the sea. Now, the British brought the capital to Accra, and in those years it was not a problem because Accra was a very small city. But as the population continues to increase and people continue to build, it restricts the path of the streams on their way to the Atlantic. So that's an engineering problem. We need to see how to open the channel so that the water can pass. But then there's also the other aspect, which is attitudinal and human behavior. That is dumping garbage in the drains, putting all kinds of items in the drains after we finish creating waste instead of sending it to the appropriate place. Even in the air, we discovered many illicit dumping sites where the wetlands are. People have gone to create a waste dumping ground, and they charge 20 cedis for the aboboya to come and fill the waste into the wetlands. And when it has filled sufficiently, they sell the land to people to come and build on it. And so we need to, one, look at it from an engineering perspective in terms of how we can open up the channels, but at the same time look at how we can identify all the buildings that are obstructing the waterways. We've said this many times, I'm tired of hearing it, but anytime you begin to take action and you start breaking houses, people think that government is inhumane. But when the problem arises like this flood, it affects everybody. And so all of us have been affected because of the conduct of a few people blocking the channels and preventing the water from passing. And so we'll call a National Security Council meeting. We're asking every district to identify, together with the Works and Housing Ministry, where the blockages in the channels are as they pass through the district assemblies, so that we can earmark those places for removal. We'll not only break the houses, we have to move the rubble out of the way, because there's no use breaking a house and leaving the rubble in the waterway. It's just the same as leaving the house. And so it's going to be quite a major issue in order to resolve the problem of Accra. But ultimately, the other solution will be to decongest Accra. And that's why we're planning that we move some of the city out, that is the major government departments, and then also create a new center of growth so that our people will start building outside Accra in a new city instead of everybody looking for some space in Accra to build. So, but that's a long-term solution. Like I said, it's a 20-year project. They are still working on the designs. Once they do that, we'll demarcate. People can start buying plots. If they like, they can start building houses. We'll do the roads, bring the water and electricity so that it eases the pressure on Accra as a city. But I just want to express my sympathy with people who have lost property. Loss of property has been very extensive, and I want to thank the military, NADMO, the police, and the Hydro, Works and Housing Ministry, and all the emergency response team, 48th Engineers Regiment, for the rescue that they did. I've seen many of the videos where people had to be carried out of their houses. They deployed their boats, and they helped to save quite a lot of lives. NADMO will do what it can to try and identify the victims and see how we can just support them in a way in the next few days. I've asked the Minister of Finance to release some money from the contingency fund so that we can do some post-flood relief for persons who have been affected. And so let me again express my sympathy, but let us change our attitude and let us find a permanent solution to this Accra flooding problem. We shouldn't become like the vulture who, anytime it is raining, he says as soon as it stops raining, he will repair his roof. And then as soon as it stops raining, he says, oh, it has stopped raining, so there's no need to repair the roof. This time should be different.
Almost 90,000 people displaced in 7 regions, and some 38,800 individuals have been affected. Dennis Miracles Abuaji here is one of those directly affected. Welcome.
Thank you.
I was listening to Kwame Jantua on the morning show here, and he spoke about the fact that all he could rescue was the one shoe he had on. I can't begin to put myself in the shoes of guys like you. How are you coping?
You just put me on the spot. I decided not to talk about this and just deal with it so it doesn't cloud the discourse we're having. Because sometimes if you don't take care, because of your personal experience, people may mess it up with the issues.
From T18 is one of the places that was most affected.
I've lost everything.
Everything?
Yes. I have nothing in my house right now. That's what a lot of people don't know. In the past, since Monday, we've been discussing this on social media and people really don't know where I've been coming from. The house is empty. We need to start everything all over again from the road, from the street. As a matter of fact, the water broke the main gate, pulled it down. And if that water was able to bring the main gate down, it tells you the strength of the water. So that's where we are starting from. Everything is gone. The only thing that we're able to save are the human beings who were brought out from the flood. In fact, let me acknowledge the MC for the Mawest and the NADMO team and the police, the district police command. And then there was even there was another police team that was sent when I called from the, I think, CTU. I don't know whether it's a counter-terrorism unit or so. They also came around. They had to tie a rope to the police car far away and then bring it close to a telecom mast in front of the house. And that is how they were able to get themselves out from the
vehicle.
Apart from the vehicle to very close to the house. In fact, some of the policemen almost got swept away. In front of my house, they almost got swept away. And then the water was at this level. So the children, everybody.
The neck level?
Yes. We're standing, I have the videos. We're standing, and you see, I wasn't home at the time. When I got the call that the water was rising, I had to rush home. That was when I called the police and all those people. And I was shocked that between the time they called me and the time I got home, the water had risen to that level to cause that level of havoc. I was shocked. And what even scared me is that I was on the mountain for a function. It was not raining there. So if it had rained on the mountain that Sunday to Monday night, I'm sure the situation we are discussing would have been worse. Because where I live, even when the sun is up and it's raining on the mountain, you can see the storm drain, rising. So if it had rained, because actually it didn't rain the whole of the Sunday night into Monday. It was dry. So this rain that caused this havoc does not even include the Equiapim range rains. And that for me is where the worry is. We need to agree to deal with this and deal with this decisively.
Right.
Those who are responsible should just take up responsibility. All of us cannot resolve the thing. So at all times, we have let go our resources and our mandate to some people to handle it for us.
Right.
No excuses.
Let me go to Susan now, and sorry about what you have suffered.
But let me be
and sorry for putting you on the spot for something you didn't want to talk about.
I didn't want to. The volunteers who came to help, one of them was bitten by a snake in the flood. And he didn't know, he didn't realize. He was standing on my compound and then he collapsed, hit his head on the tower. We had to rush him to the hospital. That's how bad the situation is. As we speak, some of my neighbors are still they're still seeing snakes and what have you inside their homes. So it's a very, very, very serious matter. Yeah, I didn't want to bring this up.
Yeah. Very, very sorry about that. I'll go to Susan and return to the two of you before we begin to engage extensively with the experts to help us navigate all of this, and how we get out of all of that. So, Susan, you heard our leaders speaking. You heard the Interior Minister, You heard Dr. Baumia, you heard the president also speaking, you heard Afenyo Marking speaking. What do you make of those speeches?
Okay. A quick comment on the SA situation. I think that Ghana has shown immense leadership by going and taking its people out. And that has upset some South Africans greatly, and because it has shown them up.
That's right.
I would wish that the other countries would do likewise and not just send out verbal warnings and security updates and things like that. They should go in and pick their people, because look, as the Honourable Fini said, they are picking on the most vulnerable people.
Yeah,
the people in they are not going to the suburbs. They are not going to the suburbs. They are picking the people in the townships. And they're destroying their shops. Those shops, how can those shops be taking away jobs? I mean, the person has set up their shop. Whose job have they taken away? So they're just venting their frustration that should be directed at the failed government, at the most vulnerable of people. And the government is sitting back and allowing it to happen. Other governments should go in and take their people out. It's as simple as that. They don't want them there, they should go and take them out.
Thank you very much. And I'm being informed that the footage that we may have seen about UPSA on social media may not be of the recent flood. Please go on. Okay.
So these floods have been happening since, at least I've seen pictures since 1960. The pictures of 1960 were even laughing at my mother that looked like her with a bucket, fetching water in front of their home. So as far back as then in 1960, we were getting these floods. So subsequent governments have failed us. It's as simple as that. So this sort of political football that is now being played, about whose tenure has had the worst flood consequences than the other, we find it nauseating and upsetting. There's a job to be done. We have people in place who should do the job and take the lead. They should just go ahead and do it and not engage in this kind of, you did this. Look, we are so tired of that.
Yes, but everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yes,
some will say that John Mahama has a very rare opportunity. When we talk about June 3, 2015, he was in the thick of it when people who had been bent were being picked and dumped in the bucket of cars. He was there. He came into the rains and made the best of speeches. And so when he comes into office and sets up a committee led by somebody right there in his kitchen cabinet, we shouldn't be seeing this and then hearing another statement from him to say that he himself is even tired of it. And when they want to take action, people will complain. Who is he telling that to? It's his job to do. Just crack the whip and stop saying somebody will complain.
I believe that also. I agree with you. But I'm saying that we have put people in place. We just tax them to do it. President Mahama has an opportunity to redeem himself from 2015 now. You understand? If he does the right things now, and we know the things that have to be done, leadership is about taking those hard decisions and ensuring that it doesn't matter the few people who are, upset by those decisions. Once the greater good is done, that is important.
The point is that you should not be taking those hard decisions after, these devastations have happened. Avoidable.
They are avoidable. They have happened. But where do we go from now? You understand? So that because rains will come again, they will come, it's not going to stop. You know, this is a country where even if it is not 140 millimeter and it is even 10 millimeters, some people will be affected and some places will be flooded. So we must take the decisions and the hard decisions that will affect 10 millimeters of rain or even 2 millimeters of rain and 140 millimeters of rain. Those are the hard decisions. And we should not be sidetracked by the politics of it. You understand? At all. Because once we get sidetracked with the politics of it, those hard decisions will be difficult to take. And so if some people want to engage in the politics, yeah, that's fine. You know, it is for the government and the state to now focus and say, it is not about talking, it's about doing. What are the things that ought to be done? And it doesn't matter whose ox is God, because if it is going to save people, then it doesn't matter. And I think that is the way that we should go. I think most Ghanaians are tired of the speeches. This person has said this and this person has said this. But we want to see concrete things that affect our lives and concrete things that we can see that will inure to our benefit in the future. So as for the talk and whatever, we are just so tired of it. We're just so tired of it. We say that we have a town planning authorities. When I went to East Legon and I saw that the place was flooded, I said, people have bought lands and have paved every single place. Paved. Instead of allowing places or gardens and whatever to allow water to seep through into the ground, etc., they've paved it. What do you expect? And there are people who were, in charge of looking at building permits, looking at seeing the proper things done, and turned a blind eye and allowed these things to go on. How do we not have floods? Do we have green zones? We are trying to even encroach on the Achimota forest. In civilized countries, green zones are in different places so that water can run into those places and seep into the ground.
The report I'm holding in my hand, the 2015 report, the report of ministerial committee that investigated the, fire and flood disaster in 2015, said the very basic things. The question is, why have they not been done? Dredging was supposed to be continuous. Has it been going on? If it has not, the matter certainly cannot be without the politics of it, because the leaders are politicians, largely. They said there must be education and the formation of sanitation clubs in schools, churches and mosques, markets in all communities to teach the basic rules of sanitation, safety, and healthy practices. I said earlier that nobody needed to sit in a committee where over 154 people had died and 154 had been injured to be able to come up with such a report. Enforcement of sanitation regulations, commencement of stricter enforcement of existing regulations, sanitation regulations. Then it was recommended the formation of a joint police AMA task force and military team to conduct sanitary inspection and process culprits for prosecution in the sanitation court. Now, there's this soldier who has been unleashed on us yesterday, that he's the one going to lead a process of no-nonsense breaking of buildings in waterways. What have we done? So when the politics is being raised, is it not a fair thing to look at? It said that government should acquire land banks for sanitary purposes long before communities are established. Waste management companies should be granted tax-free facilities to import refuse and waste treatment equipment. 2015, here we are. How much of this has been done? Then we are talking about releasing how much to do some of the dredging and help some of the situation. So this is total failure of leadership.
Definitely. I mean, we agree. And you will find that all those things that you have mentioned there that have not been done, money has been spent on them. Yeah, I mean, you probably go and find that, yes, the things have not been done, but money has been spent. And you'd wonder where the money has gone. But my thing when I say that we should remove the politics of it from there, it's not that we should not hold people accountable. As for holding people accountable, it's done. What I say the politics of it is to say that it should not be about NDC did this and MPP did this and who's it. That part of it is what I'm talking about and saying that part of it we find extremely nauseating.
If MPP did better to protect us during the rains, we should say it. And those who promised they could do better, if they have failed to do that, we should also say it.
No, but Ladi, one life is lost is way too much life. So I don't see it like if somebody, even if one life was lost in MPP and 2 lives or 10 lives have been lost in NDC, it's about what is somebody is better than the other. What we are saying is that the things that were supposed to be done have they been done? Even if they didn't do them in 2015. Did we do them in 2016? Did we do them in 2020? Did we do them in 2024? Did we do them in 2025? That's what we are saying. That we've had governments all throughout. Somebody must have said, this thing, I want to deal with it and let it go. You understand? And so we should not be doing who was first from the bottom. What we need right now, we understand and we know that everybody has failed. Leadership across generations, since 1960 to now, that we are still having these floods and they are escalating and they're escalating. Governments have failed us. Okay. And somebody must, at this moment, we do have a government that must take up the situation and say, I am in place right now. I am going to do it and ensure that it doesn't happen again. You understand? And not engage in talk and do the things, let us see a proper plan, a coordinated, a coherent plan that things are being done. In everything, we know that we've done the root cause analysis. We know the root cause analysis. It is both an engineering problem and a discipline problem. Now that we've looked at the root cause of it, what kind of corrective actions are to be done? And what kind of immediate actions are to be done that if tomorrow it rains even 5 millimeters, we will not have this situation? Because as I said, in this country right now, it does not have to rain 140 millimeters to see that kind of devastation.
Right.
And any little rain will cause extreme problems.
Earlier, you spoke about the public health crisis that we should get ready to grapple with. The Pharmaceutical Society, the Ghana Medical Association, everybody else is issuing statements warning about these things. What can you say about that briefly?
Well, I think that, like I said, there should be a proper coordinated effort. Now, the health ministry has to look at this public health crisis that will hit us. There are several things that could be done immediately. Cholera is almost imminent, because the other day I saw a video of, I think it was a toilet tanker exploding and pouring into it. People's, suckerways have been flooded, people's toilets. This is a country in which open defecation is rife, so there's all sorts of fecal matter in our waters, and people are going to be, getting sick. So the health ministry needs to put into plan quickly how they're going to deal with it in their hospitals, because hospitals may end up being overwhelmed. What kind of preparations are we doing towards cholera outbreaks? Typhoid, and all sorts of oral fecal diseases that are coming out. Are we getting vaccines? Are we putting out vaccines for cholera, putting out vaccines for typhoid, putting out vaccines for malaria? Because we are going to have water standing and we're going to have malaria and all sorts of things.
All right.
So they need to prepare for that.
Right.
And they need to prepare hospitals and, for that kind of
wave
of people coming in with all sorts of illness. It should not be, we should not be waiting for it to happen and then we are scrambling all over the place.
Right. So that's what I said. That's why I said it's a leadership problem and not the members of the community problem, which you suggested you may disagree when you said we are all complicit, and I disagreed with you on that. We are all not complicit.
But you see, I still say that it's different levels of complicity. Because look, I go to a place where there's a function, and when people get up, you should see the rubbish that is there. People open a bottle of water, and the plastic that is going around, they just immediately throw it on the floor. It's about time we stopped that. We should take responsibility for some of those things.
You are well traveled. You are well traveled, and from what I know about you, would be familiar, for example, with London. People do parties and they leave a lot in the wake of it. Yet it gets clean the next minute. So what is it? It's leadership.
Well, the people, but you see, in some levels, yes, but leadership at all levels. It's leadership at all levels. And if you go to a party in London and everything, the people who clean up are not cleaners from outside. It's usually the party people, the people who have organized the party, who organize the cleanup. Because you're supposed to leave that hall or that place the way you met it. You understand? Either that or you will go and hire people to come and clean it up and leave it that way. But in the places that I have gone, I have seen that it's the organizers of the party who have finished and cleaned up.
And when they clean up and they gather the waste and leave them in the bins, somebody picks them up. If you don't have anybody picking them up, when it rains, it will end up in the drain. It will end up in people's homes.
You see, if we don't take individual responsibility and we push everything to the state, we will always find ourselves here. I think that we should look at the principle of subsidiarity, okay? So in the principle of subsidiarity, you are doing the things that you are capable of doing in your own space. And then the things that you are not capable of doing, you leave it to the state or to the government to do.
Okay.
If we don't begin to take individual responsibility of the things that we do ourselves, we will always end up in this situation, because government, as much as possible, cannot be everywhere to do everything. And so, as I said, at every level, individual, community, locality, then it gets to maybe region, etc. If we all start to take those, look, are we even separating our waste? I want to know, Ladi, do you have a separation of waste in your home?
No, I don't.
That you say that food will go here, and
I don't, but I must ensure that I have a committed Aboboya guy. Otherwise, my refuse will sit in my home. It will sit in my compound for days. Guy, nobody will come for it.
Committed Aboboya guy. Do you know where he?
Nobody will come for it. What's the business of my MCE? The mayors who are all over the place, the assembly people who are all over the place getting paid. What's their job?
Yeah, but the thing is that if you were probably separating your waste, you probably would find that, okay, you put all my plastic waste here and my paper waste here, and I'll put my food waste here. My food waste will go into my garden. That is if you haven't paved your home totally to the hilt. Then you said, okay, my food waste will go into my garden. My plastic waste, maybe you will find the Aboboya will pick, or my plastic waste, I will go and sell it to a recycled place. You know, I think that if we looked at ourselves collectively, there's so much.
Okay, thank you. Let me come back here in the studio. Yes, Inusa, you heard the statements that were made from the minister, and in Parliament it became the usual ball. But I say we cannot discount them. Sometimes it's important. It's part of the accountability process. and then you heard Afeyo marking Dr. Baumia, and then the president himself. People have blamed the president for not choosing the right approach in surveying the system or the situation.
First of all, Samson, I think I completely agree with Susan Adu Amankwa when she says that there must be some individual responsibility, principle of subsidiarity. That's what was it Wilson Woodrow, the American president, said that you must ask what you can do for your country and not what your country can do for you. I mean, and so we need a reimagining the solution to this problem, because repeating mistakes has never been considered as experience. So we need to reimagine it. Now, first of all, let's strip what has happened to us, this deluge, from emotional and partisan political talk and confront the issue. And how do we confront the issue? I'm happy that the president has demonstrated some level of leadership. That, look, after the deluge, what do? Let's intervene to try to cushion those who have suffered. It's part of the response. But that is the first primary intervention.
I want my tax money to be used for prevention and not afterwards to try and cure situations.
Yeah, well, if the situation doesn't happen, how do you even anticipate?
Because you are capable of making it not happen.
So that's what we're saying.
Even if it will happen, not at a certain degree.
Now, what has happened will give engineers an opportunity to remodel.
But this has happened over and again.
Oh, but
when are we learning?
We're learning. You mean nothing has been done over the years? But yes, that is inadequate. Now, I say reimagining. You see, these shifting sands of politics will not help us. Countries have developed not because of politics, but because of the way individuals have taken the responsibility to partner government to develop the countries.
Because of the leadership that the politics gives to those countries.
I agree. That the biggest human invention has been the bringing into being what we call democracy. That people should have the opportunity to rule themselves. And so, you see, even in the utilization of resources for the country, there is a tripartite angle. You have the rights, Samson, you are demanding your right now. You say, oh, I pay taxes. So somebody must be, those taxes become resources of state. Somebody is using the resources to improve your welfare, okay, and make sure that the country is governed well. And then you are demanding accountability. So you see the triangle, you have rights, you have resources, you have accountability.
So you have a right to demand.
You have a right to demand.
If somebody throws trash, the law says they should not be allowed. Catch them, punish them. So the next person will not do it.
That's why we have to reimagine. In Singapore, you don't have to organize a party, get in the place and come and clean it. While you are partying, you must be cleaning while you are partying. When you eat, you go and put it in the dustbin. At the time you are leaving, the place is as clean as you met it. You can't
exactly my point. That's a result of leadership.
So that's the attitudinal. But come on it. You see, it's an institutional paralysis that you are looking at. And I'm happy the president is saying that probably we will be electing our metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. Why? Tell me which part of this country is not under the jurisdiction of a municipal, metropolitan, or district chief executive. Tell me which part. Maybe the sea. Why haven't they been able, one, to control illegal structures in their various jurisdictional areas? Why? The planning department is a decentralized body. Why haven't they been able to show clearly the planning structure of the districts? Why have they watched for illegal structures to spring up in waterways?
I think that's a major question.
What? So that is it. So you need to reimagine
those who grant those permits for buildings to sit in waterways. They are right there in those assemblies.
Samson, you are even assuming
that those structures that have come up on the waterways have got permits.
They don't.
That's just assuming.
If they don't have permits, still the leader's job. They should not be sitting there.
Agree entirely.
They should not have come up there in the first place.
Agree entirely with you, and I say to you that no nation has ever developed through indiscipline. No nation. Nations have developed by being disciplined. And this discipline must come voluntarily. But that's not what we see. Do you remember President Kufuor and the Agbogloshi market? Agbogloshi is a low-lying area. That's the sponge. That's the wetland. When all the waters come from the Akwapim Ridge and other areas, initially, that was where the water was going to pond and gradually make its way into the sea. We went, settled on it, blocked the water. All those people there, they didn't have permits. Kufuor went to the World Bank, took money, and said, we're going to resettle them at Ajinkutuku. Politics entered the way, and they're still there. So we need to reimagine.
Say leadership failed, not politics entered the way. And as we speak, we are talking about places that have been flooded, where the chunk of the politicians, you have your homes there, right? Places that you shouldn't have built, you have built. Why don't we know about places, Ramsar sites, that were willed to people and their descendants?
Again, you have invited me to comment on Ramsar site when I was Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. With Buvulati, I mean, because Ramsar site is a protected site, for God's sake. No person can have title to land over there. No person. It's protected under international conventions. Protected for our own benefit.
And yet,
people went and erected concrete structures.
People, including
people
political
in power.
class.
Yeah. People in power. But it's because those in power go there first. The ordinary man is now emboldened to also go. Because his insurance is the politician who has
the fish rots from the head.
Exactly. Talk about the agric mechanization area. What has happened? What has happened?
Talk about Chimota Forest.
What has happened?
Built forever.
The Greenbelt. Susan talked about the Greenbelt. Every day I'm exercising on the Eburi. You will not fail to realize how we dissipate the resources of this country. When you come down Eburi, flatland was initially earmarked for agricultural purposes. To take advantage of the water. What has happened? What is the Greenbelt? So we need to reimagine the way we deal with it.
Whatever has happened is the result of failure of leadership, period.
That's why in leadership, how do we select our leaders? See, when you talk about rights, resources, and accountability, and you, the citizen in front, expand the discussion. When you elect your district chief executive as your leader in that community, he is there to help you deal with the problems of that community. If he fails to deal with the problems of that community, that is what we call political accountability. Because you have a term. And when that term comes, you assess him on his performance.
Are you proud of what you guys have supervised over at least the last decade?
You see, when I talk about these floods, I'm well aware of the fact that it could be me. We're talking about people. We're talking about communities. We're talking about the lives of our own citizens. So I do not want to poison the discussion with shifting focus on how we work to improve the livelihood and welfare of the people of Ghana in those flood-prone areas. Look, you see, Samson, my condolences.
As leaders, do you feel like collectively you have failed us?
I feel that we have allowed politics to dictate how we approach issues confronting us as a nation. That's what I feel.
And I feel that there are certain issues that go beyond politics.
Politics without principles. That's what the bunch of you all guys who are pretending to be leaders, that's who you are.
That's what your Samson Take has always said, politics without principles. But I'm saying that we should go back to the principles, the first principles of human existence. First principles. Do unto yourself or unto your neighbor what you want done to you. Now you come, you are rich. You are feeling up. You remember Rollins and his body on the trade fair site? You remember?
Yeah.
And that resulted in his death. Right? Because of that place, that ponding place. Go there and see, half of it has been filled up. So the water comes, it doesn't enter the sea at a go, it has no place to pond. The only places it has now is in people's homes. So you talk about Chado flooding. Have you forgotten that they were ponds? Are they there now? What has happened? So in our state of development, we must confront the issues as they are. Mr. President, if you are listening, expedite action on the appointment, on the constitutional review, and so that the people within the various metropolitan areas, municipal areas, and district areas will have the opportunity to elect leaders who can work for them.
Immediately, what should he be doing as the president, the leader of this country?
Immediately, he's committed 350, okay, to deal with those issues. These are primary interventionist approach, but there must be a systemic approach to dealing with the problem. And that problem can be dealt with. The White House. You know that ground where the White House is today was a marshy area. Was an area that was donated for the construction of the White House. It wasn't thought that individuals could be able to develop the White House to be habitable. That area to be habitable. So they donated it to the state. The owner of that place donated it to the state. But look, does it flood? It requires engineering. So again, in our problem, the engineers are there. They need
They'll be speaking shortly.
Structural and non-structural methods of dealing with this matter. Look, the rain was coming. Tell me, what was the early warning system? Who won who?
You met earlier wonders.
Who won who? Because if flood is coming and you expect that it will bring a lot of water, you must warn the people of the potential of flooding and areas that can flood, so that the people have opportunity to move to high ground. The people have opportunity to move their vehicles to safe areas. My good friend would have had opportunity to move his house and his family and those valuable things out of the house. In case it doesn't happen, good, he will thank God. But if it happens, he would have been saved. Now, his family was left at the mercy of the deluge. So we need to reimagine how to deal with this problem.
Yes, Dennis, I'll hear you, and then the experts who are around, I'm going to go spend sufficient time with them so they help us to go over what must be done, and we can only hope and pray, hope and pray. It's like the Black Stars, they've been doing very poorly, and yet when they are going to the World Cup, suddenly we feel that they must win. What's wrong with us? Yes.
Council, I listened to Honorable Former Minister, and I think he agrees with you. It's leadership. He just has a responsibility to at least make the current leadership not suffer too much damage. But largely, even if you listen to the final argument he made, it's leadership. In every society, there will be thieves, there will be criminals, there will be miscreants, there will be deviants, there will be recidivists. There are everywhere. But leadership ensures that all these people, including the saints, the popes, the pastors, are able to coexist in a way that the society thrives. So it is leadership. To try and use the indiscipline of a few as a cover for leadership failure is unacceptable. That is why the mandate has been given to you If all of us were pastors and popes and saints, we will not elect leaders. We elect leaders because we know that the society that we run, all of us are not at the same wavelength, and so people would misbehave. And so you'll be given a mandate to ensure that the majority of us who are respecting the laws and the rules do not suffer from the actions of the few who are doing all this indisciplined stuff. So the president and the government has failed us. That is the summary of it. And this is not politics. This is accountability. Yesterday, the government that was in place had to take responsibility. And I take inspiration from our president. He was clear. He said that the flood and rains in Accra was as a result of Akufo-Addo's failure. I believe him. I agree with him. And that is why a lot of people who probably suffered floods in 2021, 2022, 2023 went and probably voted against the MPP because they had a presidential candidate who said he had a solution. So there is no question. Nobody in this country is responsible for the flooding other than the government. Nobody. No. Nobody else other than the government.
You are not going to intervene.
Nobody else. It is the government's responsibility. And let me tell you, I'll outline how I feel and I think this government has failed. You see, you come to office. One of the biggest red flag, or everybody knows in the capital, is flood. Every government is aware of that. And that is why immediately you came to office, you formed an anti-flood task force. Why did you form that anti-flood task force? If you didn't have the responsibility to deal with flood, why would you go ahead to form a task force? It means that you acknowledge that it is your responsibility. If not, why did you set up a task force? Now, this task force immediately put bloggers in a vehicle and asked them to go and wait for them whilst they fly in a chopper, landed the chopper, and briefed the bloggers what they have seen, and said big things about how they've been given the mandate, marching orders by the president to ensure that this time we do not see flooding, and that they are going to do all they have to do, led by no mean a person than the Deputy Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana in charge of operations. It meant that he can command any state resource available to ensure that there is no flooding in the city. Nobody else is responsible for what happened on Monday. It is the government. And I'll tell you more. The anti-floods responsibility, task force responsibility, is to ensure that what happened on Monday did not happen. Not only that, remember that 3 weeks before Monday, another one had happened, that people had died. So first of all, that anti-flood task force failed. Because your job is to your job is to prevent. You would have succeeded if there was no flooding. As long as we have seen flood in such a devastating nature, you failed. Take responsibility. Don't make excuses. It is disrespectful. It is insulting. It is heartbreaking when you were given a responsibility to anti something and the thing has happened and you want to shift blame. Number two, the government has managed the crisis and the disaster in the most shambolic manner than we have ever seen. And I'll explain to you, Samson. You see, the flood happened. Remember, there was a flood about 2 or 3 weeks before the Monday one. The one that some building collapsed in Adenta and some people died. That was the first warning. Remember, people died with that one. What did the government do? There was a building that collapsed right here around Caprice. What did the government do? What was the government's response to all of these things? There are 3 or 4 levels of people who are affected by this. And I'll explain to you. The government quickly comes in the middle of the disaster and says that, oh, we are in a chopper, we are looking at how bad the situation is. The next morning, they said we have allocated 350 million for flood relief and flood mitigation. And this is where they are missing the point. Today is Saturday, 5 clear days since the flood happened. I haven't been able to enter my home. My house is empty. Nobody has called me. Nobody has come to me. Nobody has asked me where I sleep, what I eat, what my family is eating, where they sleep. I am just one citizen. Forget about me because I am in the category of people who can find their way around. So put us in a different bracket. Now, for those who cannot find their way around, those who live along the Odo River, those who live at Tiptoe Lane, those who live at Circle, that cannot find places to sleep since Monday, have you heard the government open up the sports stadium, set up a dome, giving them blankets and mattresses, and tell them that come and sleep here whilst we find ways and means to release the 350 million. So again, even in the process of the disaster, the management has been very poor. People have not been prioritized. People have not been prioritized because what a government that cares about its people does is that immediately the floods happened, I should know that for those of you who have been affected by the rain on Monday night, where are you sleeping? What are you eating? What are you wearing? Not a single one has been done. Not even one. Then I ask myself, 6 days after the flood, I have heard in the news that there's a 350 million allocation for flood relief for those who have been affected. I know not where I'm supposed to go and write my name. I know not where I'm supposed to follow up on this 350 million. It's been 6 days. I will die before the processes or whatever you are going to do happen. And that is just me. As of last night, human bodies were still being dragged from the Odo River. We do not even know the actual count of people who have died. The number of young people who sleep on the streets that have been washed away by this rain are not counted because nobody is even looking for them. Nobody knows them. Nobody is asking of them. Because for these people, it is only when they wake up in the morning that they see their bodies and talk.
And you see, that statement is interesting because about a week before this flood, or less than a week before this flood, 18 people died in the central region because of flood. Yes. And we were all quiet, as if it must happen in Accra before we start talking. Those people in the central region, they don't matter.
Nobody's counting them. So, see, the number of vehicles that are still stuck in the Odo River that are being dragged have not been counted yet. The losses are bigger than we are discussing.
Look at them. All those who are using these vehicles, that's homes, livelihoods that are gone.
Where have they been sleeping since Monday? What have they been eating? I have friends. I have family that I could put up with me and my family. I don't matter. I am just one category. The other category of people. Now, when you say you release 350 million, I ask myself, and I was asking some friends, okay, where do I find myself in the 350 million? Because I don't need rice. I don't need oil. I don't need blankets. I don't need mattress. So when you create an impression as if you are being there for me as a citizen.
Some of the local leaders are distributing bulbs, light bulbs.
Yes, where am I supposed to put the light bulb? Where am I supposed
victims
to put the
of a flood?
You understand what I'm saying? So that is how bad the situation is. And then before I even move to the final end of my conversation, even the response. See, NADMU, and I shout out to the Tema West NADMU. They showed up in a borrowed pickup from the district assembly, and they came with nothing except their reflective jackets. Nothing except their reflective jackets. It took, and I'll blow your mind, it took some young people from Nungwa to come with canoe. And that tells you how serious. My neighborhood, people were evacuated from their homes with canoe. It tells you how, and I'm talking about canoe on a road like you are seeing in front of your office. So it tells you how devastating the situation is. When they came, NADMO was helpless. They have nothing. So the young people were the ones who dedicated themselves, put the canoe on the water, and started looking for people and bringing people out. The disaster management itself is poor. There are no tools, there are no equipment, nothing. Where are the choppers for the security services to throw the ropes onto the surfaces of the river so that people will hold and then they drag them out of the other river? Where is it? How difficult is it to do this? And you are telling me that it's not the government's fault. Whose fault is it? My house is located in one of the most planned areas in Ghana. I live in one of the most planned neighborhoods in Ghana. Why am I flooding? Me. Some say, look at me. Tell me who I should blame for my flood. I don't dump in refuse into any waste bin, any drain. I haven't built in waterway. I live in an area that is planned by the government itself. So why am I flooding? And you are telling me that I should take responsibility for my flood and not the government. Then I come back to the substantive matter. In 2015, we experienced one of the most devastating floods in this country. Never seen before in terms of the human lives lost. The closest one probably was the 1995 one. Then the government decided to do some diagnostic study. The same president decided to do some diagnostic study. That diagnostic study is what led to 2017, the MPP came to office, and then all the work was done, and then led to the establishment of GARID. GARID is the most comprehensive urban resilience program this country has seen. GARID.
GARID, in the meanwhile, is Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project. GARID. We'll get into it and in a deeper way because.
Yes. And something I need you to bear me out. GARID was established to simply ensure that some 2.5 million people, about some 138,000 households, do not experience floods. That is the basic objective. It was to ensure that one, in fact, there were 5 components. Component 1, flood mitigation. 2, solid waste management. 3, infrastructure upgrade for these areas. 4, project management. The final one was the contingent emergency response component. Now, when GARID was established, all the technical work, all the feasibility studies, everything this country needs to know when it comes to flood, drainage control in the city, in the capital, was undertaken under the GARID program. So by the time GARID actually went on the ground to start infrastructure, which is drain construction, all the technical work that the anti-flood task force is telling you they have been doing have already been done. It has already been done. And the focus for GARID was the Odo Basin. Now, the question we should be asking ourselves is that GARID was supposed to have ended or completed its work in 2025, and then it's been extended to 2027. Council, the whole of the year 2025, not a single PESWA was released for GARID projects to continue.
It's not true.
Oh,
it's not true. It's not true. You allow me to read it for you.
Please.
It's not true.
I'm not. Please, I beg you.
I have the figures.
It's not true. It's not true.
Every spend on GARID.
I beg you.
Wait.
No. Don't
let him take us there.
No. I don't want you to tell lies on this program. It's a lie. It's a lie.
You see,
it's a blatant lie. I will read it.
The World Bank is the one lying.
Not the World Bank.
The World Bank's report. And if you interrupt me, you are being.
The World Bank don't release the money to Ghana.
Leave this to me. Don't do that.
No, wait.
Okay, I'll wait.
The government did not release the GARID funding. It's in the World Bank report.
No.
In fact, let me even tell you something else. This government actually swept over 13.8 million of GARID money from the GARID account to do other things. It's in the World Bank report. That is why the World Bank,
Where's the World Bank
report? Assessment.
Where's the World Bank report?
What are you doing?
No, please. You can't come here and peddle falsehood and let me. And I expect me to sit down and look at
Council,
you. What is the report? Can you produce the report here?
Can you take charge?
I challenge you to produce the report here.
Council, can you take charge?
No, it's what to do.
Can I continue?
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. So this report is public.
Yes.
It's public. That's why I'm surprised he's shouting.
Go ahead.
It's public. And I'm not the only one talking about it. All the news portals, including
Where's the report?
have already published the stories.
Where's the story?
You see, I beg,
just Google it.
You are being
go ahead.
being very disruptive.
Go ahead.
Respectfully.
Go ahead.
Respectfully. The truth of the matter is that according to the World Bank, 2025, there was no spending on the GARID project. In fact, that is why they have rated the performance of GARID as moderately unsatisfactory. The World Bank report also indicates that the government swept 13.8 million from the GARID account to go and do other things. They have just restored that money in April 2026. It's in the report. Now, go to the Paloma area. The GARID guy is here. Go to the Paloma area. That project, the contractor hasn't been on site for the whole year. In fact, the last spending, the last release for GARID was in November 2024. It is in the report. It is in the World Bank report. November 2024 was the last time this country released funds to GARID. Now, that aside, Council, I'll give you a letter. I'll give you a letter for you to read. You see,
okay.
Every year, as part of GARID's project, it's some releases they do to the MMEs, the municipalities and metros, to undertake what they call dredging and desilting. Typically, what the MMAs do is that they will submit a work plan of areas that they want to desilt. Then GARID and the government will approve. Then they will release funds to them to undertake this desilting. This desilting usually would happen between January and March before the rains set in. And normally, these MMAs in Accra, they do it synchronized. Because you see, if Dade Kotopon is dredging and Klote Kole is not dredging, it means that the whatever is here will run. So they do it synchronized. Let me blow your mind. And I'll blow your mind by reading this particular letter to you. Please indulge me. This letter is from the government, written on 15th May 2026, from the local government ministry. Council, please listen. Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project disbursement of the 2026 Local Capacity Support Grant and notification of the 2024 Operation and Maintenance. It's a long letter, but I'll try and read for the purposes of this conversation. Then I'll make a point. As part, it says, we refer to the implementation of GARED extended that the ministry wishes to inform all beneficiaries that it has commenced the processes for the disbursement of the 2026 Local Capacity Support Grant. In line with the prescribed procedure for grant disbursement, the ministry will undertake the 2024 Operation and Maintenance Assessment exercise, which constitutes a key requirement of determining eligibility for the grant. The assessment is scheduled, and listen to the dates very carefully, 7th to 19th June 2026 in the 17 beneficiary assemblies. A detailed schedule indicating the specific date for the assemblies will be communicated. In preparation for the assessment, an orientation workshop is scheduled for 2nd June. As part of the requirement for assessing the grant, all MMAs are to submit their 2026, answer, listen, 2026 operation and maintenance work plans. And this is where my heart is bleeding. To the ministry by 25th June 2026. The indicative budget is 420,000, applying the allocation percentage of 85% for works, which is the Sultan, and 15% for institutional development component. As we speak, the desilting and dredging that municipalities in these areas in Accra are supposed to do, lawyer Samson Ayenini, to ensure that 2026 rains, when they come, at least will be mitigated in terms of flood, have not even been approved yet.
Okay.
Let me repeat.
Yeah, I need you to take a break. Yeah.
Let me wrap up on this. I beg you. As we speak. So if somebody wants to understand why this city flooded within a month in the way it did, it is because the government did not prepare. Because as we speak, even the work plan for the assemblies in Accra to the south and dredge have only been submitted on 25th June 2026 after flooding has already happened in Accra. It has not been approved for the monies to be released, for even procurement to be done to enable these district assemblies to undertake this dredging activity and the silting activity, so that when it rains, the water will have a proper channel to move within the city. So if this is the situation, and then you are being held accountable, and you come and tell me that I have flooded in a TDC planned area, and that we are all involved, and that we are all responsible, I am sorry. You are being disrespectful to me. You are being insensitive.
No, hold on.
And you are being completely unfair.
Hold on, let me come.
You failed.
Hold on.
No work.
Hold on for me.
And that is why we are flooded in the manner we have.
All right, thank you.
And you might take
thank you. For the very first time, Inus of Seni is complaining about time allocation. Yeah. Don't worry. Now, I have the spreadsheet of every dime of the disbursement for GARED since it began. And I have seen a way in which Franklin Cudjoe has used those figures to in a prosaic way, to explain, to make better understanding. Because the spreadsheet I have only tells you the amount spent for and what disbursed for and what time. So here are the facts. That between 2019 and 2024, the previous administration drew down $103.8 million from the World Bank. 350 million was loan. US dollar was loan. And here is how the money was used. 22.1 million, that is 21%, went to training. This is documented training. 7.9 million US dollars, 7% of the money, was spent on consultancies. I've seen it in the original document. Consultancies. 60.8 million, that is 59% of the money, which Franklin Kujo describes as a lion's share, was diverted to COVID-19 related spending. 1.68 million, 2% of the money, was used for other costs, largely the purchase of vehicles. Just 11.4 million, barely 11% of the entire loan, was actually spent on flood prevention and mitigation works. Please note that just 11.4 million, barely 11% of the entire loan, was actually spent on flood prevention and mitigation works. Put plainly, nearly $9 US dollars out of every 10 US dollars went to things other than protecting Ghanaians from the floods. Only $1 US dollars out of every 10 US dollars was used for the project's core purpose. So when the Mahama administration took over, it sought to do something to ensure expenditure of the remaining funds will align with what the Garrett project was meant to achieve. So what did the ministry do? They engaged the World Bank and secured an agreement to repurpose the remaining funds, redirecting them squarely towards flood prevention infrastructure. And this is where Franklin says, that isn't delay. That is a deliberate, responsible decision to make sure the money does what it was always supposed to do. Offer lasting protection to communities that have suffered for too long. So this is what has been recorded. In 2025, the government spent roughly $3 million US dollars on actual flood mitigation works under the project. So far in 2026, about 10.52 million US dollars has been released for the same purpose. So that brings the total for 2025 to 2026 to approximately 13.52 million US dollars, already exceeding the 11.4 million US dollars spent on flood works over the entire previous 6-year period.
Cousin.
Wait. Hold on.
It's very important.
Wait. I know what you have said is important. Just hold on. You have said it's important, so just hold on. So this is the information you want to hear, correct, Inusa?
Yes, and to give you specifics, the last payment under Nana Akufo-Addo and the Garrick occurred on 4th January 2025. The first payment, utilization of Garrick funds under John Dramani Mahama happened on 4th February 2025.
How much? Mention
the last, you are saying that nothing has happened. I listened to you carefully. Listen, please.
So after I laid out what I had to, you still feel you must speak?
I'm still, you see, he said no funds has been released.
And what have I shown?
I'm going to tell him specifically.
I have shown that between 2025 and 2026,
my brother Samson,
what has been for the purposes of the project itself far exceeds what the entire 6 years of the Akufo-Addo administration dedicated to the project. 11 million compared to 13 million under John Mahama.
Yes, I agree. I'm putting it in better context.
Okay.
That on the 6th of June, 2020, you didn't hear him, that no money was released in June and that a letter written by the minister was still being worked on. On the 6th of June, payment for undergarrick happened. On the 6th of June, 2026. Actually, it's not 6th, on the 9th of June, 2026. So you see, when you come...
I thought you were going to give me details of 2025.
You said
I said 2025. So why are you in 2025?
2025, I can give you details of
2025.
Oh, wait. No, it's not okay for me. It's not okay for me. It is patently false.
Okay, you made your point.
It is patently false to say that no money. The second thing is that, you see, those who live in glass houses must not throw stones. You were not in your house when the flood occurred. People came to rescue your family.
Are you personalize?
No, you personalize it. You said people came.
Wait.
People came to rescue your family. These were civilians and NADMO. Took your family out of harm's way. They did not consider the activity they were undertaking as government activity. They do not say that government must come and save your family.
Okay, points made. Okay, I'm going to move away from you guys now. You guys have had enough time.
I was
You've had enough time.
But since it's not politics,
don't insist.
Give me time.
You may not get it.
Again,
because you spoke for a very long time.
Again, it is patently false to say that the 350 million Ghana cedis has not been disbursed.
Okay.
You go to La that they cut upon. You will see. You go to East Iowa.
Thank you for.
And as I speak to you now, the convoys are on their way to the central region, Volta region.
All right.
It is patently false.
Thank you. Now hold on. Yes, I will. But hold on. But I have announced to you guys that once I move away from you guys,
that's why
you're going to take a long break.
That's why you should go to be.
Now, what we know is that the Finance Ministry has approved the cedi equivalent of more than $76 million under the Garrett project for flood mitigation infrastructure in 2026 and 2027.
Not after the flood.
2026 and 2027.
No. Because you are not.
Gentlemen.
You see,
thankfully for this time, no money is being spent. No money is being spent on training and consultancies.
Okay.
Now, let's do this. You remember you had said that what you were expecting was a holding place where people will be told where to go, high ground, for example, and receive, as it were,
aid,
deliveries, and so on and so forth. The Interior Minister says to tell you that the government has offered to take care of those who need shelter, and they have prepared a holding center at Ashaiman that can take up to 1,000 individuals who are in distress. As we speak, not a single person has agreed to be at that place. Rather, they prefer that they are giving the items like rice and the blankets and so on. So that is what you see is going on.
You see,
in 1 minute, what rebuttal is it that you want to give before I go to my other guests?
There's something about this.
I'm holding you to a minute.
There's something about dishonesty with intellectuals. When the World Bank is establishing a project like Garrett that is going to construct drains in Accra, it can take even 4 years to complete technical work before construction starts. If anybody says
that's true,
that in 6 years, what was spent on actual drainage is less than what has been spent now, and so there's a problem with it, the person is a dishonest intellectual. You see, the technical work, the consultancy you refer to, the training, those are works that had to be done before construction could have started in 2019, 2020.
That's true.
And so that analysis is completely illogical. It is not an intelligent analysis. If those trainings, technical works, designs are not done, there cannot be constructions for payment to be done now, for you to be using those figures as as an argument. The fact of the matter is that the contractors are not on site. That is the truth. The World Bank report is there. I will not drop a World Bank report and come and read a Franklin Kujo spin. The World Bank report says that the reason why Garrett has slowed down is because of austerity measures from the finance ministry and their lack of expenditure on the project.
Thank you very much.
So it is completely dishonest.
Thank you.
It is illogical for anybody to attempt that argument
thank you very much.
of 6 years expenditure. It doesn't even make sense.
Thank you very much.
To even a 7-year-old.
So in my analysis, in my analysis, I actually look at the formative years and the spending within the formative years. I took the whole spreadsheet, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Sorry, hold on. Sorry. What you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is wrong.
That is wrong.
What you're doing is wrong.
That is completely wrong.
And
it's dishonest.
In those years, you see a phase that was dominated by
of work done by some
please stop. You see a phase that was dominated by institutional capacity building, consultancy fees, community engagement, and preparatory technical assessment. I'm talking about 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, what I have analyzed from the spreadsheet. And then 2023 to 2024, you have a scaling phase where you have strategic engineering. And then the disbursements continue from there. Then you have what you call maybe the peak years, large-scale intervention, 2025 and 2020.
That is why it makes no sense
2025 and 2026. Now, this is what I'm going to do. No, don't disrupt. Don't disrupt. Stop.
It's dishonest.
Don't disrupt any further.
That was done for the past few days. It's dishonest.
Please stop.
It's okay. When it was
I'm going to take very brief commentary from Ed, from engineer here. And then I'll take a quick break and we'll return with a certain presentation that gives you a picture of the Garrett. Garrett appears to be what should see us not in this situation ever again. So how far have we gone with the actual work? That's why he's here. Ed, let's hear you. Having listened to the politicians so far and having also chewed on some of the statistics as regards what needs to be done by way of the funding that has come in to prevent the floods that we are seeing recurring.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you once again, Samson. So first of all, I want to look at this from urbanization of Accra. Right. So the urbanization of Accra is a function of our economic development. People have the capacity, are able to buy land, build homes, etc. Right. What we have not matched that capacity to build homes is our planning and our ability to engineer our way out of this situation. That's the first thing. So urbanization will continue. And we will need to do more work on how we resolve these issues. But coming back to the whole disaster management conversation that we've been having here, what I want to clearly put across is that disaster management is not about response. That is what we are seeing. Disaster management itself is a cycle, which starts with mitigation. Then we go into preparedness, which one of the colleagues on the call spoke about. So we do preparedness, and the preparedness is not just about again response. Preparedness is even simulating how we save people. And the reason why I go to preparedness and how we rescue people, we save people, and the need for that is the data points to some cycles of event, and it's like a 10-year cycle. So if we go back to 1990, we take it from 1990 up to 2026, like every 10 years, we experience some volume of rainfall on this scale every 10 years. So it's a cycle. So the predictability from a risk management point of view is there. So from 1990 through to 2026, July 3rd, 243.9 mm in an hour. June 3rd, 182.8 mm. June 9th, 182.5 mm. Then 2026, June 29th, 169.2 mm. So almost every 10 years, some event of this nature is happening. So the predictability is there. So our level of preparedness and how we dealt with the situation shouldn't have been what it is. So this one, I'm not even being scientific. I'm not talking about early warning systems. I'm just looking at pure data for those who plan for these things to have worked with. So that in itself failed. So we didn't prepare for a mass casualty event. How would rescue people? There are no simulations. I think I've looked at the literature. I've tried to find out whether we do any practices, whether NADMO engages in this type of activity in conjunction with the military to help deal with this situation. It doesn't exist. So that is the preparedness element, right? We don't have it. So there's been massive failures. But when we come to the mitigation element, which we've dealt with through the GARID process, reading about what GARID intends to do, it is fantastic if you look at the detail of what it wants to do. And if it succeeds, it should lead to flood reduction. What we need to believe is that flood elimination, it wouldn't be possible. So we need to reduce flood and we need to reduce the effect of flood in Accra. So that is the fact that we need to establish. However, if you look at how we've put our trust and hope in GARID, which is a project that will end in 2027, then that becomes an issue because it is a cycle. Our mitigation should be continuous. It cannot be a one-off program that desails up to 2027. Some storm drains are opened up, they are built, and we leave it there. We need a holistic, long-term approach to this. Urbanization will carry on. More people will live in Accra, not just because they want to live in Accra, but because history points to the fact that there are centers like this which will become a hub for people, for business, for the right amenities, for access. So Accra will continue to grow in this way. But what we need to do is we need to engineer our way out of this situation.
Right. And Ed, I've not forgotten what you said very early on in your very preliminary comments about lost on controls. That's what it boils down to. You're talking about GARID and we not needing to put, all our faith in there because even after you build the drains, we will choke them if we don't pay attention to them. So what do you mean by lost on controls? And that's the problem.
Yeah. So when we saw the picture, so because where I'm located, my jurisdiction, I can only go by pictures, right? So you look at pictures and you look at I call it the baller bag. The massive heap of baller. So that is what I've termed it, the baller bag. If you look at the baller bag and you start analyzing the baller, they say, you start looking at the constituent part of the baller. So plastics, wooden debris here and there, bottles, all of those things. So they give you an idea, the failure of our system. So people talk about attitudes of individuals, right? But we need to look beyond the attitude of the individual. Why is that guy putting that rubbish in the open drain? Is it because he doesn't have a means to put it where he has to put them? So these are questions that...
Yeah, that's number one. That because that is actually a fact for many homes. They don't have, the bins. It's exactly. A project that was started, and I understand that 1 million bins were distributed by Zoom Lion or so, and after that, problems. Ed, I'll tell you this story very briefly. I belong to the One Ghana movement with Senyo Husi as the convener, Professor Kofi Abochi in there. Dr. Joy Sai, was on the board with us. And we said, we're going to get Ghanaians to commit to the pledge. And by getting Ghanaians to commit to the pledge, we started a program. We bought bins and put them by some of the streets where people relax and wait for bus stops. Guess what? They got stolen. We had to engineer to get the bins locked. When they were there, people went to cut the chains to steal the bins.
So there are deep issues. There are deep issues, but like I said, all of this is a cycle. So we don't stop, right? We don't stop. So the mitigation element is a continuous thing. But we've dealt with the issue of the individual, right? And their attitude, which I even go beyond the individual, do another why. Why is the individual behaving in that way? So there's an element of education, there's an element of providing him with where he has to put his rubbish. So so it then links back into leadership. Are we providing it? The municipalities, are they, doing all of these things? So let's put it to one side. Then let's look at the constant conversation around waterways and the demolition of buildings, etc., and the failure of those controls that exist. Samson, when you did your take, you clearly identified a law in black and white.
Laws. There are dozens of laws. I only decided to pick only 3 of them.
Yes. So when you did your take, you emphasized on that. From a governance and controls point of view, you start off with what should prevent this individual from undertaking this exercise. So the law becomes my power for enforcement. Okay, so it exists. Then I go to town planning and land, etc. Then the question I ask them is, are all my waterways marked? So I'm looking at this from a governance and controls point of view. So are all my waterways marked? And my research shows that some are marked, some are not, right? So those that are now marked, there is a black and white issue there. So we can look at. But the ones that are marked, why have we allowed this? So that's a complete failure of a control. And the control is enshrined in law, which we need to enforce. So if you look at waterways, our waterways being blocked, the storm drains we have not being able to cope with the volume of water, which this volume of water, if you look at the data, it's predictable. You don't need early warning systems. You don't need the weather to change. If you look at the patterns, like the cycles, you're looking at 10 to 11 years, same volume of water, we receiving it and all of this damage happening. So total controls failure, which has led to this. But when we look at the sum of all of these things, the question you need to ask is, can all of these be fixed? We've seen what government has proposed with the recent announcement of a named person to lead this. Again, in governance, risk management, you need a named person we can point to who has mandate for delivering on the mitigation arrangement. And if you look at the recovery process, we've assigned it to somebody. They've set up a number of committees which are looking at different things. It's a step in the right direction, but a step too late in the process. But I'm hoping that step can lead to better arrangement and better mitigation exercise that brings all of this disaster risk management into full and proper context.
Thank you. Now let me return to Engineer Michael Obin-Konadu. You chair, the Civil Technical Division of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. And there are people who have asked, but what role do you also have to play in this as engineers? Your people are all over in the assemblies. They're the ones that are approving where they should not approve. They're the ones that people are going for approvals. They won't do the approvals. The people are compelled to go and build anyway. People are looking for permits, and it will take them years. And by default, they go and just build. They go and write produce permit, or the next time the produce permit red ink is not dry and the building is continuing. And this is what we have. What's our way out? Because there are people who are sending me messages now who say, like Ed is pointing to an individual, this military officer, what is his name again?
Yabua.
Yeah, who has been appointed to do some kind of, an aggressive work. I say, but what have we not seen? Do we discount the impact of Galamsey on the flooding we are beginning to see. That didn't used to be the case, including as Erasmus Asaredonko is showing us from the Amansia area in the Ashanti region. And that one, which is even easy to fight, so to speak, we can locate the people and stop them. We have set up Operation whatever, Vanguard, whatever, nothing. We are not seeing anything. So why are we putting faith in somebody being appointed to stop anything?
I'm saying you've confused. You started from permitting.
Yes.
You ended in Galamsey.
Yes.
But let me correct a certain impression first. It is not the engineers who give permits. No. The MMDAs, the assemblies, are the ones that by law give permits. They have a committee within it, and engineers sit on that committee, I agree. Planners and other people. Listening to what has been going on around the table, what I would say is that what we're seeing now is the cumulative effect of a number of failures. One, planning failure, permitting failure, land use failure, waste management failure. And all of these have been impacted by an extreme weather event. That is how come we are where we are. So for us as an institution, we have given out a position paper. We tried to analyze all these causes in a bit more detail, and we are making proposals for the way forward. We think, simply put, there are two things that must be done. The first one is the enforcement. That's where the loss of controls thing comes inside. Consistent enforcement.
After the horses have bolted.
After, we will continue to have floods. This is only one event. In fact, if we are not lucky, we may have more rainfall. The whole West Africa region is moving out of a drought situation. So one came a bit earlier. This one too has come. You know, for us, we started looking at this last year, and we got one of our professors who did quite a bit of study, and he gave us policy document in the direction that we must move, so that in the future we will minimize the effects of flood. As for these extreme rainfall things, no drainage system can completely evacuate it. But looking at our history,
but they will minimize it.
They will minimize the impacts of it. Yes. As for the same amount of water will flow, but how we handle it. So, for instance, in the past, our philosophy for drainage design was: look, let's get all the water that comes to quickly leave the system. So, a certain conveyor system was put in place, certain sizes of drains, the whole network. The idea is that once it rains, quickly we must move. But you see, the time we were doing those kind of designs, the environment had a certain natural ability to support us. Rain falls in certain areas, it infiltrates. In certain areas, it ponds. In certain areas, by the time it meanders and gets to where the urban development is, it has slowed down and things like that. Over the years, the impact of urbanization is such that we have compromised nature's ability to help us. So moving forward, and this is not just for Ghana, but internationally, the movement is that now let us manage our urban storm waters in such a way that the water is held for some time somewhere. It is delayed, before it moves. So now we're saying that let us go back to nature. So you see that we start talking about things like nature-based solutions.
Nature-based solutions.
The wetlands that we have taken away, we have to now start recreating. That one, there are no two ways about it.
Oh,
you see? And
I agree.
And now, what is causing a lot of this runoff now is because we virtually paved the whole of the town. So the water doesn't have anywhere to go. And what causes the paving? People are developing estates, whatever, doing their nice commercial business and throwing the water into the public system, which is not, the capacity has been compromised with time. We have massive maintenance problems. We've lost some of the drains somewhere along the way and things like that. And our waste management is moving the thing to a higher degree. Like we all saw in earlier videos, the trash and things. It's not supposed to be in the drainage system. So we have to start looking at them. One of the significant things that we are going to push for, actually we agree it's leadership, and we as an institution are developing a paper to go and meet Parliament. So that is the leadership. And then we sit down with them and explain how we think it should be done. We are committed to setting up a dedicated team that will be assigned the role of giving all the technical support to whoever, but also to hold whoever should be held publicly accountable. Now, we are not going to sit down and just after preparing a plan or a program and hope that it works. We've decided that it is necessary that we work with the system every step of the way, and over the next so many years, put in a new nature-mimicking stormwater management system that we can all work with. It requires us to clearly delineate a lead agency for this. If you look at the governance system now, the assemblies give permits, and they actually have the power to change certain areas and decide that here we wouldn't have a wetland here again, we will put estates and things there. We think there should be a government lead agency that will be empowered. We have the Ghana Hydrological Services Authority. We think it should be considered as a lead agency. And to do that, certain of its powers must be improved. We think it should be accountable to Parliament or a certain arrangement of Parliament. And then this particular body should have the ability to approve certain kinds of development. You see, the flood thing does not respect administrative boundaries. MMDA, it doesn't. It moves across. So we must have an arrangement where we have what we will call catchment or drainage basin.
Integrated plan.
Drainage basin planning and things. So that if any assembly project or development does not align with this thing, they should have the power to stop it. When we come to assembly level 2, they are supposed to issue permits, and they are supposed to. It has been assumed that they will be reasonable in considering certain things. Over the years, we have seen that doesn't work. So now we are proposing that there are very specific assistances that must be given to them in terms of standard specifications. And
my final question to you before I take a break and return to have Bernard do the Garrick presentation for us will be about something that Reginald Sechi Brown shared with me. It's this historical and geographical insights from M.E. Krop Dakubu. He has a book on, it's titled Kole Meets the Sea. And in this book, he diagnoses the hydrological situation and the geography we are in and what we are doing wrong. You spoke about we creating the drain so that the water would just go and exit. But he spoke about sort of the Accra flooding being a direct result of we ignoring basic West African geography. He points to the fact that the coast of Ghana is only slightly above sea level, and rivers like the Odo do not empty directly into the ocean. They spread into shallow lagoons, like the Kole Lagoon, behind natural sandbars. So we have to have a way that allows the water space, even after it goes into the, to get out.
Yes. There were two, initially, if you look at the Equatorial Hills, initially at the base of the Equatorial Hills, there were certain detention ponds. So that was the first level of stoppage. Then it will move towards the coast. You have the Sakumo Lagoon, the Kole and all that. Now, and then the Ramsar site, it was a natural waiting space for the water. Now the Ramsar sites are being filled or have been filled. I'm sure Bernard will give us the details of how much of that has happened. We've lost all that natural capacity.
The bond is filled.
You see, and these are the anthropogenic things. We have done them, and we have the power to stop them. That is why we are calling for the enforcement to be done. If you go through all the laws, it tells you it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that. Take it out.
Yeah. So the Sakmo you are talking about is what we're seeing here.
Yes. On Monday, on Tuesday, I drove along the beach road and I saw the level of the Sakmo. It was just around the railway line. And then just on the other side, there was a heap of bola, what the gentleman calls bola bag. It was just lined the whole place. And the rest were buildings and things in the Ramsar reservation. And these are legally protected areas.
Right. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the government has a place for people in distress who can move to get some, safety, stay in a way that you can have time to recover, to begin to think about what to do. So the building you see, I spoke about Ashama, there's a place that they are planning. The building you see is one of them in Ashama where they want you to move to. Though if you have lost your home and all of that, move to. Instead of you insisting that you should be giving the rice and blankets. This is a place where you can put your head, you can lay your head and also begin to plan how to navigate the circumstance you find yourself. As I said earlier, according to the Interior Ministry, they have accommodation for about 1,000 of the people who have been affected. So, as we speak, not a single person has taken up this offer, right? So, Dennis is saying you are now hearing.
That's the truth. If I had not brought this up, he wouldn't have sent you this message. It's a serious issue.
Anyway,
where has the announcement been made? Mention one place.
Okay.
Or it was meant to only end this.
Thank you about that. Once again, let me make a correction, which I did earlier, but let me firm it up. The video you see trending, showing what has been labeled as UPSA, I'm told it's actually a place, an apartment in Chado, which looks almost exactly, the building and the spaces look almost exactly like the UPSA buildings that you see in that video. So that video is not from UPSA. UPSA did not flood. UPSA did not flood. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll return to hear Bernard on Garrett. Where are we? Is Garrett providing us the one bullet solution out of this situation? We'll be right back.
And then the releases.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number one, let's bring Baby Car. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where is the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes.
If you want quality, this be where you belong.
Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
Welcome to a place where everyday living is reimagined, where space, movement, and community come together effortlessly. With thoughtfully designed spaces, modern facilities, and everything you need within reach, you don't just live here, you feel safe, comfortable, and at ease. Step inside Eden Heights and discover spaces crafted for comfort, style, and everyday living. And just when it feels right, you will know. Because this isn't just about finding a house, it's about stepping into a better way of living.
Eden Heights, the height of modern living. Book a private viewing today.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Number 1 from here, 2 and 3 from here, 5 and 6 from here, for now. Yay. Now, I have the number 7, 8, and the number 9.
You need number 10.
Please, I can't eat anymore.
I mean, number 10, liver salt.
The effective liver salt for the relief of stomach upset, heartburn, hyperacidity, and indigestion.
Would you like to try number 11?
What?
Number 10 liver salt. Refreshing relief, fast. Manufactured and distributed by Ernest Chemists Limited. This advert is FDA approved.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessia and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, who be here, Semetra Sapapadia to Amame Manfo, Kale Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is several buying, and Maniswing, Nesansu Mama Hotoso, a will beg you.
Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Choose Kale Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kale, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Mommy, good morning.
Good morning, my son. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mom. How about you?
I'm fine.
Joe, I just saw your mom doing her usual morning routine. Like, it was just 2 weeks she underwent a major colon surgery.
Bro, see, my mom is doing perfectly fine, and we're all excited about it. It was minimally invasive surgery, and the recovery has been very fast.
Minimally? Hey! No, wait. What do you mean by that?
So they offered my mom a laparoscopic colon surgery. Laparoscopic colon surgery, which we accepted. It turned out it was equally safe with a very fast recovery time, and the cost involved too was very, very reasonable. She was discharged 3 days after the surgery, and you can see her, she's on her feet again.
3 days?
Just 3 days, bro.
Mean Tuber Hospital, First Ghana Colorectal Center, aimed to serve a peculiar health need.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. My guests have been Engineer Michael Obing-Konedu. He's chairman of the Civil Technical Division of the Ghana Institution of Engineers. Maxwell, engineering. Maxwell, where has Maxwell been? Okay. Ed Andrews is operational governance and risk management expert. We had him a while ago. Now, Bernard Makafui is going to take us through the GARID situation. He is with Geographic Information Systems and Informatics Officer for GARID under the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources. You listen to Dennis Miracle Sabuaji, Director of Communications for Dr. Baumia, Susan Edua Mankwa, Executive Secretary, National Interest Movement, and Inusa Fuseni, former MP Tamale Central and former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Okay, so Bernard, help us to understand where we are with GARID.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to your listeners. Now, I would want to begin with some understandings, preambles, so we can build on them. Now, flooding cannot be stopped. Flooding is just water in a channel overtopping temporarily and would go back after it's able to seep in. So flooding cannot be stopped, but the impact can be reduced. So in our attempt to make it look like we can totally stop flooding, it's a wrong preamble. The next thing is that we need to understand that anytime it rains, it's two things. It rains inland and within the stream. So water has to find its way within the stream and also from inland into the stream and then finally get to the discharge point. GARID, it's as earlier explained, is Greater Accra Resilience and Integrated Development Project. It falls, initially it was under four ministries and then changed to 3. As we speak now, it's under 2 ministries. That's local government and sanitation, as well as works and housing. So in due time, the figures being thrown around, the ministers would respond. But today, my mission here is simple. Initially, GARID, or by design, GARID is supposed to look at just the Odo Basin. The Odo Basin covers from the foothills of Ebri through 17 municipal assemblies along the coast to the Kole and then discharges into the sea. But on assumption of office of the current minister, you realize that when the flooding is occurring, it occurs just beyond the Odo Basin. So relying on just the Odo Basin to fight flooding or to reduce the impact of flooding was not going to work. So last year, he asked us to look at the 9 basins within the Greater Accra region. Last year, we did 5. We did an analysis to look at the current state of these basins and that if it should rain, can it perform its function well? This year, it's just unfortunate we completed the assignment before this heavy one happened. But we had just finished and we are putting the report together when the floods came in. This year, we looked at the entire region. And this is what we found out. Now, as I was explaining, every water has its source. The source is from a high point, so normally the mountainous areas. Now, if you look at these two images, this was taken, the left one was taken in 2023 by myself, and this is 2026. You realize that the land cover in 2023 was a bit denser than what we are seeing now. And from the image, you can see people are parceling and building walls, and they are clearing the land. It's the same area. So you can see the curve here, and that's the curve. So you see people are building. This building in 2023 was not done, but that's the building here.
Within this very short time?
Yes, very short time. And so once the source is compromised, and naturally it has a sharp gradient, so the speed is there. Once it gets to Oyarifa or the foothills, by nature, the water is supposed to hold a bit before it moves. Now, what is happening in Oyarifa is quite interesting. We have encroached the water basins, and so the water cannot still even hold there. It's still on the move. The course has been compromised, so it's still moving at the same speed. Then it gets to car price area, then it slows down. The speed combined with the volume of rainfall we are getting, and the way we have now squeezed the channel, it would overtop. And we've done models and we realize the impact will go beyond just those small areas to even planned communities or areas like where you live. Now, so we took the Weja Basin. What are we seeing? This is the Tetegu area. This was in 2010. Now, in 2026, as at last year, we had over 1,000 properties sitting here. Over 1,000.
2010, it was empty.
Yes. Tetegu. This place, I can tell you on authority, no one has a permit here. Because it's a floodplain. So when it comes from Weja and it gets here, not like the document explained to you, if the sea levels are high, the water stays around the plains, after some time moves. Now, trust me, no poor man can build here. If you see the kind of structures here, to fill and even build, you must be rich. So this class of people are not the regular class. So we have pushed the regular class and now they are moving close to the course. So the source is compromised, the course is also being compromised, and even the discharge point is also going. So where do you want the water to go? We continue. So that's it. You tell me a poor man can build this kind of building? No. People with the resource. This is 2026. Let's continue. Now, look at this property, this wall.
Yeah.
The person intentionally knows this place is not supposed to, he's not supposed to build.
Right.
He waits when it's dry season. He moves in to do something small.
Island.
Then he waits.
It's about an island.
Yes, and you see the rubbish there. They first fill with the rubbish, settles a bit, add laterite, then they start. And now we are causing we are making the course of the river to meander more because we are pushing it. No matter what you do, water will find its way. That's something we have to understand.
Right.
So we move to Lafa. Lafa is so we skipped Odo because we've done a lot of work on Odo. But the Lafa is after Odo. That's the no. This is the first is Weja. Lafa is after Weja. Yes. That's Mala Market. At the top here. This is 2010. We just had this. But that's a water body. Now, this water body does not discharge directly into the sea. So at this point, it's supposed to just stay around. This is 2026. We haven't crossed and entered.
Where's the water?
Now, that's the size of the water.
Don't find the water.
Look at the width here and look at the width there. So this is why Malam floods. And so once the water can't go, there's a backflow effect.
So
all those behind.
What do they do? How do they give the permits?
So they don't. So that's how I explained to you that most of these areas don't have permits.
That's here in Dansuman.
Yeah.
You know,
but that's the
and I drove to some of these places.
Yes.
You know, I drove to some of these places. Or Dotojo area, that's what you're talking about. And they were flooded. People couldn't come out of their homes.
They can't. They can't. That's rubbish. This is rubbish. We continue. So that's how the area looks. That's rubbish. Solid waste being filled. And that's the first step. They fill with solid waste, add latrine, and then they build on. That's Malam. Then we move to Peshi.
Yeah.
The red line is telling that as of 2012, this was the boundary of the Peshi. Yes. As at 20, we have lost about half of it to properties. The source is compromised, the course is compromised, discharge point compromised.
Yeah, discharge point, that's what I was looking at.
So you see the discharge point to the sea.
Yeah, completely compromised.
Now, so we went to the course, like I explained. We tried to do some analysis to understand it better. This same point, in 2002, the width of the Kojo stream was 261 meters. Let's watch this.
The river, not the stream.
Okay. Then we come to 2013. We have 211. It was reducing.
It's gone.
2022, we have 19. But see where it used to be. We have pushed it. Now we are defining the cost for it.
Yeah.
And as we speak, we are left with 10.6 meters.
That's Honorable Innocent's house. Where the yellow? That's your house.
We are left with 10.6.
Oh, I don't know.
We have lost over 200.
I don't know your house. Big man.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Proceed.
So what is the planning authority? What are they doing?
We go to Tessa Dam.
I agree with you.
Tessa Dam, same. The red is the old. This is Bandy Road. So behind the Bandy Road.
Yeah.
Yes. East Legon. Yes. 2008. This is what we are left with.
Yes.
And people are still.
There's somebody building today.
Yes.
So that one,
right.
Even when I came to Accra, that place was still very good. Farming was taking place at that place. Now look.
That's for Sakumono. This is Sakumono. The red is 2011.
Yeah.
The white is what we have. And even with this, look at what people are doing in there.
Sakumono.
So, and that's it. Look at the structures there.
This is Sakumono. This is Sakumono.
You are in Sakumono?
No, me, I've never been in Sakumono.
I saw a house like yours.
No, I've never been there.
So then we went to do the count on the cost stretch. We did it using a baseline year, that's 2021. And we realized that if we do 50 meters on both sides, we are going to have more properties. So we just even reduce it to what the document says, 25, from 20 to 30 meters, and we use 25 meters. For an assembly like Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly, from the base year where they had 6 structures sitting within the 25-meter buffer, they have been able to protect it. Is it that they have been able to protect it, or the place is heavily built, so new structures are not able to come in? But go to an assembly like Ayawaso Central, 8 new structures found their way in. Move to the next, we had 157 for Ayawaso East Municipal. And most of these ones, some are this makeshift structures.
Ayawaso East Municipal?
Yes.
But that's in town, Nima,
yes.
area.
Yes.
And which structures are these?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, some are makeshift structures. They will find a way of putting something there. And once we fly, we're able to capture them.
Oh, okay.
Ayawaso North, because it's a heavily built up area, we didn't have too much. Ayawaso West Municipal Assembly. Gas Central, 54. Koleklote, 8. Ladadi Kotokpon, we had 88 new structures springing up. Okankwe North Municipal Assembly, 133.
And can you confirm the permit status of these?
No, so that's the next phase of the work.
Yeah.
So the assembly is supposed to do a special audit to tell us if all these structures have permit. Even if they have, they are not supposed to be there. So are we going to formalize illegality? No. So we shouldn't focus on
the assembly is taking property rates, so he knows.
No, property rate just means that you are utilizing the land. Doesn't give you legality.
I'm not saying it gives legality. I know better than that.
You take a tax from land.
So if you collect light illegally to your house, you will pay that bill. If you collect light illegally to your house, you will pay that bill.
So the numbers in green keep showing.
Yes, you can say illegal. The system doesn't catch.
Yes.
You are not within.
If you collect light to your illegal property, you pay the lights.
If you connect
lights to your illegal,
that's a
you pay light bill.
Yes. Who connects the light to the illegal property?
Yes, you must.
If you have a property note like land title, they just need the site plan. You take the site plan with your name.
Leadership.
You go and
use the only site plan to give legist.
Okay, then.
So the numbers keep increasing. Whilst we even speak, I'm sure people are building. And they take advantage of these periods to quickly put up something so that authorities will not come in. And so these are the numbers per. So please give me the video.
Let's give them money.
Let's do the video and then we understand.
Houses.
Okay, so we are concluding with a video that gives you setting,
okay.
you know.
So this is a Lekma area one.
This is a brick.
Okay.
So I tried to look from the source and you realize it. Work is going on. Who is supervising this work? Nobody.
The thing is in government. It's fresh.
Oh, let's move.
You.
Yes.
The
whole place is just developing and it's looking beautiful. But these effects are waiting for us. Then right after Ebri, we are supposed to have Oyarifa, the waiting area.
The waiting area, yes.
Taiman.
That's why
Oyarifa, Taiman is gone.
So let's use container. When you say waiting area, it's supposed to be served like a container.
Good. So you see, nature by itself also has its natural ponds.
Yeah.
But see how close we are. People are even feeling as we speak.
And the lakeside.
Yeah.
Between.
And we are all watching.
Yeah.
The assembly, we must elect our DCs.
We'll come to that one.
And so you see, this man is feeling.
So what are they doing? Don't they see this in?
The benefit we have now is that we have technology as a lens that we are taking advantage of and we are using.
All right.
And so all these places, you realize I wanted to show you a very unique one where the person builds. He knows this is the waterway, but he built on it and puts in a PVC pipe for the water to pass through. Yes, this is in Oyarifa, and so that's it. That's the water body.
A big PVC pipe there, right?
And builds over it. Where do you want the water to go to?
And when he was building, the assembly was not seeing.
So that's how I'm explaining to you that what is happening now is that we have the benefit of technology, which we are using as lenses. Some of these areas, if you said, you don't have vehicles, if you are not using from a bird eye view, you can't see this.
You can't even access.
Yes. But they're able to access. Miraculously, they're able to access. So these are some of the things on ground. And so what the president has said is that we do not go to battle blindfolded. With this information we have, we are going to assist the task force to move in. And then where we need to clear, we clear. I see Miracle saying disagrees, but trust me, we will use this to guide in doing what we are supposed to do.
We must find a way to.
Yes.
We must find a way to get the properties off.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Ben, take your seat and then let's continue from here.
The fact that you are in government or in
the 2015 report that I keep referring to after the June 3 disaster, here were the main recommendations. It says, we recognize that flood is a natural occurrence which cannot be completely prevented. We therefore recommend measures that will provide engineering solutions to mitigate the floods whenever they occur. We therefore proffer the following as practical recommendations. 1. Desilt the Odo and related tributaries annually before the onset of the major rains. Was there desilting of the Odo before we have these rains that have come in? 2. Redesign the inlet conditions of the tributary drains into the Odo River by the provision of sand traps, which will prevent the direct inflow of silt and debris into the Odo Channel. Provide new flood retention reservoirs upstream to attenuate peak floods. Replace the existing bridges with piers on the lower Odo with single-span bridges. Dredge the Kole Lagoon and rehabilitate the Kole interceptor plant. Yeah. Government should acquire land banks for flood retention purposes long before communities are established. So we see these communities that sprout up, and government is supposed to acquire the land banks even before the communities begin, to show up at this place. This is a committee that was chaired by His Lordship Justice Isaac Delali Dose, retired Justice of the Court of Appeal, Mr. William Jesse Mensah, Deputy Chief Fire Officer Operations, Colonel Mohammed Mustafa, Ghana Armed Forces, Chief Superintendent Mr. Raymond Simpi, Ghana Police Service, Engineer Waisa Metepe, hydrologist, consultant. And so this has been gathering waste. I asked you the question. There's supposed to be an annual dredging. Has that happened? It says it should be done before the rains.
Okay, so something.
You can't answer that question.
What I would say is that you're asking for details of or status of what's been done.
Right.
If I tell you dredging has been done, maybe your next question will be, what is the volume of silt that has been dredged. So as I sit here, I can't give you that information. So at the right time, the ministry itself would come out with all these information for you to see whether work has been done or not. If I tell you your program is one of evidence, I don't have the evidence here. But trust me, the ministry will come out to give you that evidence you are seeking for.
We saw piles of rubbish. There was this group that was able to do this picture, video, where the rain water starts coming in. I've seen Joy News use it. Maybe we should get it. You see the plastic, and there were also videos where we see these women who wait for the rains, and then they go out there with their refuse in bags and sacks, and then they throw them out. How much of that contributes to what we suffer? Maybe I should ask engineer about that. You want to say something? Yes.
Okay, but I want to clarify something.
Right.
Desilting refers to removing sand and other materials. That is normally not, and those ones are as a result of water washing sand from outside into the drains and carrying it. That's one. Now the plastics and the other waste materials have a very serious effect, because whenever the water moves and it reaches a certain constriction, the flow is impeded, and then it spreads. So like what you see down there, if it's blocked, only a small amount can go at a certain time. So the rest will have to wait behind the bridge, and then spreads and causes flooding in that area. So it seriously impacts the way the water is evacuated through the channels.
Listen, Nima. The reason I asked that question is that you hear the minority leader raise an issue, and you hear many other people. I've heard the Titus Glovers, very, very many people, particularly also in the NPP and beyond the NPP, raise the issue about the plastics and waste that is not being collected. And they are blaming it on the Zoom Lion sweeping contract, which has been terminated for almost 8 months or so. And so for all that long period, the waste, rubbish that they would have swept and collected has not been collected. And that this is a major part of this is what I was talking about. I think, is it the bus stop boys or something who did this? So, yes, I was asking
engineer.
Yeah, engineer. What role does that play in all of this, the waste?
It plays a very, very big role. So wherever waste is not collected, it finds its way into drainage channels. Some people come and dump it in the night. Otherwise, it stays on the edges, and when it rains, as water moves into the drains, it just naturally carries all of these things, and they tend to be lightweight. So it comes in. So it plays a very, very major role. Waste management is a critical component. So when I was mentioning the issues that have failed, you remember I mentioned that one. So if you don't have a proper waste management system, you will end up with a situation like what you see on the screen.
As we understand it, actually it's not 8 months, 21 months. This sweeping and collecting of the rubbish has not happened. And so that's clearly a crisis happening. You're seeing a lot of articles that are being written about this situation. The Accra, the daily waste generation, I'm told, is 4,500 tons. Uncollected waste for 21 months brings us to over 2 million, almost 3 million tons of waste that has been sitting there uncollected. What's the potential impact?
It's not as simple as that. It's not collected formally.
All right.
And what happens is that it compels families to find other ways of moving the. That's how come this Aboboya business is now thriving. So a lot of it is moved. Now the issue is that when they move it, where do they send it to?
Correct.
Because our landfills now, I don't know how many are operating. I really don't know if any is operating now. So they normally would find places which are not supervised, and they go and dump them. And other people have started actually charging them to give them spaces to put. So that is another very big problem on our hands, because there's a public health implication in all of this. So the waste management system, which is not working, is a huge problem that has to be tackled. At the same level of the flooding. What makes flooding more dangerous is the fact that flooding and death. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
So if you have a bad route and it's not well maintained, what will happen? It gives you discomfort, etc. But you can have the mouth to complain. Whenever a flood happens, it brings death, either directly or through sickness.
Those who are making this point, they point us to the total generation every day in the country. You are generating 17,000 tons of waste every day. And so for a big institution like Zoomlion that was doing this, and it's everywhere in the country. They have a reach because they have the machinery, they have the capacity, and we're being told now they are all over Africa as well. Do you buy the point that in that regard, for 21 months, you have in excess of 10 million tons, almost 11 million tons of waste that's not being collected, and that contributes greatly. And so if anything at all, we have problems with them about how much they pay the people who take the refuse and so on, those who are doing sweeping, being given peanuts. The suggestion is that immediately, why don't you get them back? Rather agree with them that this is what you will do correct. The wrong things you did that we don't like, for which we terminated, we get you to correct them, and we monitor that you do the right thing, and then you step in. Is that part of the solution from where you sit?
No. You see, I talked about reimagining the way we deal with things in this country. Waste is a local problem generated within communities. Those communities fall within specific district assemblies. The concept of waste is even undergoing some evolution.
Okay.
In fact, there is no waste. It's just that we don't know how to treat what we are generating. Okay? Because if you don't deal with how to treat waste and turn it into something else,
it's supposed to be money.
It's supposed to be money. So I don't have a problem with Zoomlion, but I think that what resulted in the cancellation of his contracts was accountability. Okay? Are we getting value for money? Now, the waste is being collected, but it's not properly disposed. So you see that people collect waste from their homes and they go heap it at the roadside or leave it at places that are not earmarked or specified for waste disposal. And that is our problem. So they collect waste, and then when it is about raining, the Aboboya, instead of going to the site to pay and dump, even though illegally, will dump it in the gutter. And that is
so the question of accountability. They say this is an institution that has the history and the machinery and capacity. So you say it's about accountability.
Yes.
Ensure they are accountable. It's your job to ensure they are accountable.
So I say that the proper body to ensure accountability is the district assembly.
All right.
The proper body. Because then waste is generated within the assembly.
All right. Dennis, it's said that in our country, we can clearly tell that our sanitation policy is Zoomlion. In the absence of Zoomlion, we don't have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think our sanitation policy is not bad. It's private sector, which is okay. We just don't have so many private sector players. I think we are being very unfair to Zoomlion. We're very large extent. There are other players in Greater Accra here. I can count over 50 other waste management companies.
Oh yes, you were there in the what do you call it? Ministry of what?
Local government.
Local government.
There are 50 other waste management companies. It so happens that Zoomlion is bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
So we are being very, very, very unfair to Zoomlion. And when it comes to the waste management, it's very integrated. What we are discussing here is just one component of Zoomlion's contract, not the entire thing. And that's why I feel, again, I would always point to the government. You don't abrogate a sanitation contract without having one in place. Because it is recurrent. It is every hour, every minute. So if you want to abrogate Zoom Lion's contract, you take your time. Make sure that you have alternatives in place. Because before you abrogate, I'll explain to you why. Most of the district assemblies that we thought would just abrogate Zoom Lion and they will take over, they don't have their systems in place. They don't have. In fact, sanitation is a decentralized function, like Honorable Minister is saying. However, it is mainly private sector driven all over the world.
I agree, yes.
The best out of it.
Yes.
So what needed to be done, if you wanted to go after Zoom Lion, was to make sure that you have the systems in place. If you recollect, what the government said was that they were going to let the district assemblies procure other waste management companies to actually...
But you build the systems over time.
You need to take your time. You need to take your time. Make sure that those things are in place. Zoom Lion is very decentralized. It is very embedded into the MMDAs. And so you don't go on a wholesale abrogation. If you truly believe that the decentralized way you want to go is the way to go, then let your district assemblies do their own appraisals.
Yeah.
Do their own internal appraisals and determine whether, even in this district, I want to split it into 10 or 20 for other people to play within.
Yes.
But to abrogate a sanitation company in Accra for 261 districts, I think the government got it wrong.
Engineer was saying something.
Oh,
but you were saying something.
Right. But you see, it's not about...
No, you and Inusa, you were saying something.
No, you see, the problem is nobody's saying Zoom Lion is wrong. Zoom Lion cannot even be still operational within the context of the discussions that we are having.
Yes.
But the focal institution that manages Zoom Lion should be the district assembly.
Yes, so that's the point. You know, the last time we met here, we discussed
the central
and I
government.
told you that
to make the accountability that we need effective.
But the bigger question is here. Of all the decentralized functions, the most expensive one is waste management, especially for urban areas. That's the most expensive one. But ask yourself, how much of the revenue generated from taxes geared towards sanitation goes to the district assemblies? You are telling the people that they are common fund that they have received. That is what they should take a certain percentage, sometimes 20%, 10%, to manage waste. That is the beginning of our problems. Because for urbanized areas like the Labonis and the cantonment and all those, Madines and Co., their biggest expenditure will be waste management, not building of schools, not building of hospitals.
And as I read,
and yet
they can actually make a lot of money in this thing.
The Constitution envisages that.
So the
Constitution says that.
So the issue still stands.
The district can make a lot of money from waste management.
That we have disempowered the decentralized.
No, it's the way the institutional paralysis of the district assemblies is the way the conceptual idea of the district.
So we have disempowered them.
No,
the fact is that central government in this republic doesn't want district assemblies to function. That is the truth.
Okay.
We only like to give them titles and give them functions. We don't want to give them the money. So we create a sanitation ministry to collect revenue at the centralized level and keep it in Accra. And then we ask the district assembly. We don't even give them. No money comes from the sanitation ministry to the district assemblies. None, zero. The only one that they can count to right now is the one that World Bank is giving them to do the desilting, 420,000. The sanitation revenue that the country collects, all the things, it doesn't go to the district assemblies. It stays in Accra.
So proper decentralization, as Inus of Seni says. Susan and Ed.
So it's the government's responsibility to ensure
let's get
that
your
these monies go.
Let's get
so
your
that the district assemblies can work.
Let's get your
terminate Zoom Lion when you don't have an
Thank
alternative.
you. Let's get your 2 minutes thoughts quickly on this, and then we wrap up on this subject. Yes, Susan.
So I would say that yes, the engineering.
Please, Susan is speaking.
The engineering controls must be in place, and modern engineering is not just about drains and culverts. And so we would want to see what the engineers are coming about, because we want to see proper, living, dynamic engineering that takes into consideration the type of people who are living there. Urban engineering, resilience engineering, so robust that even if the people misbehave, the system can hold. So we must see that a certain drainage or a set is built in such a way that when there is indiscipline, even though the system will come under pressure, it would hold. And so it's the engineering problem must be whatever the engineers say they've put in place must be like that. Because look, there are certain countries, when they build a park, what they do is to allow people to walk in the park, and they look at the natural walkways in which the people would walk. And it is from that they build maybe pavements, etc., etc. I'm not sure our engineers are doing similar. So that must be looked at in consideration of the type of people that we are. Yeah. But apart from the engineering controls, we must also have the policy controls, and and one of the things that we should look at is our land tenure system. Our land system is a mess. And if it were not such a mess, we will not have the situation which Bernard was showing us. Family lands, stool lands, government lands, and the corruption in that system. If we had a system where all the lands were properly under government and were properly demarcated, and people were not being corrupt and collecting all sorts of monies and whatever, and the chiefs selling the lands 10 times, people probably will not be building anyhowly.
All right.
So we must make sure that it is not just the engineering controls, but we are looking at the policy controls, the legal controls that people must adhere to, and people must be punished. So then of course, I think that Ed also spoke about it, that, we must map up, we must do a proper cost mapping, look at our disaster mapping. What are the early warning systems we can put into place that will ensure that, people will know ahead of time what has to be done and where they can
let me hear Ed now.
I mean, how many times have we done just drills, like we said, just drills?
Yeah.
So Sakumono is flooding. But I just wanted to say to this, Mr. Miracles, look, the fact that you live in a planned area, you don't live in an island. And I think Bernard has made that point. Nobody lives in an island, because the people in Chado will probably get cholera, not because that they are the ones doing the open defecation, but maybe the open defecation coming from Choco is the one that is coming to give them the cholera there.
All right.
Nobody is an island.
All right, let me go to Ed now. Thank you. Yes.
But let me finish this one. I live in Tema. When I was born in Tema, it was the TDC that was taking care of Tema, and you could see even little signs elsewhere so that if you threw rubbish on the floor, you'll be punished.
Exactly.
When TDC handed over to TMA, see the indiscipline that has come to Tema. Tema that is a plant city. Tema that was the pearl that in any little
was supposed to be
Tema,
like the example, the prototype of what we do. Anyway.
Yes.
All right.
And
So
allowed the corruption and indiscipline to go on. So nobody should think that they lived in a plant area and in a whatever. It will not hit them.
Let's hear you.
Connected.
Ed, let's hear you in the next 2 minutes after having seen what Ben has shown. And you remember Ben's preliminary comment was that those who are doing the wrong must be punished. The officials. Samuel Lamte says, I'm watching Newsfile and I'm afraid we are in more flood disasters. We are in for more flood disasters. That's after watching what you did. The massive encroachment on wetlands by the rich is a contributory factor to our perennial floods in Accra. While at it, MMDCs have failed us all. Eddie K. Queno says a Chinese-owned cement factory is built on a Ramsar site with a building permit issued by the Gbawe-Weja Municipal Assembly during the NPP administration, all against the EPA and residents of Makati Hill and surrounding areas. K. Frimpong says the big question we should ask is, after the government cancelled Zoomlion contract, which waste company has government engaged to handle our waste? You may have whatever issues with the contract, but is there any waste company around with the same capacity as Zoomlion? Baba chairman in Tamale says, oh, Amagana, after almost 70 years of independence, we're still battling with these avoidable floods. And in all this, President Mahama is engaged in the optics by jumping onto a copter and flying square pegs in round holes. All right. Yes, Ed.
So if our viewers watching today, they have to take three things from the conversations we've had. What I would say is that first and foremost, what we see with our urbanization is not really wrong. It's, as I said earlier, it's a symptom of our economic growth. So we would continue to see this. We need to accept that. That's the first thing. The second point I want to make is that managing this growth has to be done properly and holistically. And what we've not seen from everyone and all institutions is the management of this growth. We've seen in the videos which shown massive encroachment.
The president is talking about relocation of the capital.
That's a long-term thing. So we've seen the encroachment.
But what's the guarantee that will not transplant the problem? Because like Susan just said, Tema was supposed to be like the prototype, the example that we use. Tema is now turning into a slum. So I
think it would dovetail into my last point. Then the encroachment has to be dealt with. That's the issue of enforcement. We have to deal with it and restore the land. So we don't demolish and just leave foundations. We need to restore the land. The restoration is key. So if we have the willpower to do that, that will go a long way. And lastly, it is public education. So all of this is linked into public education. And we buy these lands in this wetland. They will be prone to flooding. That is a financial loss to the individual themselves. They will cause problems for other people. All of these have to be brought together in a nice way through public education.
All right.
And if I have to layer one more thing before I finish, all of these new homes in all of these areas, they should be insurable. We should not be able to insure them. The insurance industry together with government should come together and say, any building in this affected area should not be insured. Flooding, so we need to look at innovative ways. And Mr. Fuseni keeps coming back to reimagining things, and that's the tagline for my consultancy: reimagining your visions. And that's what we need to do. We need to rethink this problem and deal with it accordingly. Thank you very much.
All right. Yamiola Yusuf says that the presentation by the guy from Garrett got me thinking. This flooding is not ending anytime soon. We need attitudinal change. Ghanaians must wake up. Right. You have the last word.
Okay. I think from this point, we need to get into action. One, the government must give a decree. All properties that are coming up close to the water bodies must stop. All development should be on hold till we have a special audit to tell which people have permits, what have been put in place, or measures that have been put in place to manage such drainage systems around. Two, our local plans must incorporate in them drainage plans. If you look at our local plans now, it looks like we have a drainage plan different from a local plan. But our local plan must have all these embedded in them. So that when I buy a piece of land and I come for permit and I'm going to build, I know I'm supposed to leave this margin and then build within a certain area. And then the last thing, we must enforce every law, not just one or two of them. Every law that was made for such things to be avoided, we must enforce them. Not building and covering the whole land with concrete. Leave space for green. Look at green other solutions. All
right. Thank you very much. And some of the senior citizens who watch this program, they are in great numbers. Senior citizens, you meet them everywhere, and they are glued to Newsfile, and they have feedback to give. One of them, Major Retired, I'll mention his full name, says that a major problem we face in Accra is where to dump garbage. after collection. The landfills are full, and getting land for alternative landfill sites is difficult, if not impossible. The end result is the dumping of refuse in gutters, rivers, and streams by waste collectors with catastrophic consequences, such as what has befallen us. The way to go is to employ technology, convert the waste into electrical energy through incineration. The end product could serve useful purposes, such as fertilizers and material for bricklaying. Germany and China could be of assistance in this regard. So long as we have garbage disposal problems, we are bound to experience flooding. This is a matter that requires immediate action. Thank you very much, Major. A good number of you still have messages on this and the way forward, including that even the water that is coming and going waste could actually be harnessed for food security. And Chubwe Siako, who has been angry about the leadership situation, says that reimagine what? Do we have to reinvent the wheel? Go to Leicester, go to Manchester, go to London, go to Reading. Local authorities manage waste every single day. What at all is there to be reimagined? The difference is simple. Poor leadership in Ghana. Stop making excuses. Okay. Stop making excuses. All right.
Correct. No. He's got it wrong.
Yakubu Ibn Chambers says the African. Okay. Thank you. The African government is clandestinely stoking the xenophobic. You mean the South African government is stoking the xenophobic fire against the migrants in that country, and the world must rise up in defense. The flooding, the devastation is a consequence of our collective behavioral lapses coupled with political insincerity on the part of the politicians. Thank you for that message. Quite a number of you there, but I don't want us to end without having to say anything at all. Oh, my production says I can get to Inusa to say a word about what the Supreme Court has done in the Torkornoo case.
Well, it didn't come to me as a surprise, and I'm sure it didn't come to you as a surprise as well.
You know, last week I was asking that what the ECOWAS court had done, is that what we are going to see reflect in the Supreme Court?
You see, you needed to look at Article 146, and on your network, I've said it severally. You needed to, and I had the benefit of reading what you wrote. You needed to read Article 146 carefully and see whether there was a breach of procedure under Article 146 to be able to give vent to the violation of
7 judges unanimously.
You needed to say because you can't just dream
nothing
it
wrong.
Up. You needed to show that, because there are procedural limitations in Article 146. There are institutional limitations in Article 146, and there are substantive limitations. And so you needed to show that the limitations contained there had been breached before you could even invoke a right to fair hearing. But he couldn't. I mean, it was just
the two suits that were consolidated at the Supreme Court and dismissed by the court. One suit said she should have been given the opportunity to give her response before the Council of State will make a determination. That's the prima facie level. The court said, no, there is no such requirement, but she was granted courtesies, administrative courtesies, because she actually submitted and it formed part of their consideration of the prima facie. Then the next suit also said, to do the whole process, there must be a legislative instrument to guide the whole thing. The court said, no, there's no need for a legislative instrument. So both suits died. Nothing.
And then even the court said, look, by your writer, the court said, look, it's a trial. It's a hearing. And the Constitution didn't anticipate 2 hearings. And so in determining a prima facie, if you give a hearing, then you are doing 2 hearings.
Right. Because the time you are supposed to be heard is at the committee level. And she was heard at the committee level.
Done that thing already.
And every week,
it's okay. That thing before
every Saturday, I'm clothed, and you see me in the best of kaftans by Habil's Couture. You can call them 0200 84 1988. 0200 84 1988, Habil's Couture, and you get the best of kaftans from them. This one is by a friend of mine in Yendi. He's Habib. He does it very well. Thank you very much, Habib. Thank you all very much. Have a good afternoon. This has been Newsfile, and my guests have been Engineer Michael Obing Konedu. We have also had Ed Andrews, Bernard Makafui, Agbelengo. Say it again. Agbelengo, yes. Dennis Miracle Sabuaje, Susan Edua Mankwa, and Inusa Fuseni. I'm Samson Ladianyeni. Have a good afternoon.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as ColorLink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Syntax tank, are you strong? Are you tough?
Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.
Discover Willow Lane in Sakumono, one of Ghana's most prime community. These expertly designed 4-bedroom homes feature a private elevator, 4 ensuite bedrooms, private balconies, walk-in closets, and a gourmet kitchen and a maid's quarters. Perfect for families, executives, investors, and retirees. Our community offers a swimming pool, playground, and 3-tier security for your peace of mind. Experience the ultimate in comfort, convenience, and community here at Willow Lane, Sakumon. Visit waylead.org or call 0240-111119 or 0308-040500 to book your tour today. Waylead, your trusted home builder.
Day by Day existing lotion, cream, soap, and more. Day by Day has 4 fragrance range.
Do you want a healthy smile?
Are you a senior looking to maintain your oral health? Hi, I'm Tanya from Bethel Dental Clinic, Ghana. As we age, our dental needs change, making regular dental care even more important.